Welcome back to Downtown Tour, here for round 8 of the 2018 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and well, the first of 2 semi-finals just about to line up on the grid. It's time for the Elite 1 division to head out onto this 350-metre circuit, just 4 turns in the Parc d'Expédition in the east of the city. We have seen some great racing here already on this 9-degree banking, and let's get 2000 Monster Energy NASCAR champion Bobby Labonte to show us around a lap.
Okay, this is the oval track at Tours, France, coming off of turn 4, start-finish line, and going into turn 1. It's really tricky going into turn 1, and this is coming off of turn 2. It's got a dip off the corner. The wall's right there to the right. Another dip going into 3. You got to run the bottom of the racetrack, back in the gas, off of 4, very slippery. Front straightaway, back into 1 again, off camber, back to camber, back in the gas, very, very hard. The car's got a dip to the right. It wants to go to the left, and then if the right rear falls out and you start over again, and you're just hugging the bottom of the racetrack, traffic's going to be really, really difficult. Here comes Sunny. Whoa, watch out. Whoa. See there? Look, I'm on the bottom, but I don't have much room, so this is going to be really tricky right here to try to pass cars during the day.
Looks easy, doesn't it? There is Bobby Labonte getting ready to dive on board the number 18 RDV competition Toyota Camry, and it's great to see an insight from that hugely experienced driver as to what it's like to do a lap around a 650-metre circuit here at Tour. Well, we've already seen plenty of racing as Bobby Labonte climbs on board the number 18 car. We had some great racing yesterday, 2 batches of semi-finals for both Elite 1 and Elite 2, and their final races as well. And let's look back at some of the highlights from yesterday's racing. So some great, spectacular action from yesterday's racing on the build-up to the first of the semi-finals for round 8 of the 2018 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, the Elite 1 division. Fred Gabion just being put into the driver's seat. Up goes the driver netting. And, well, we've not got a driver to join us in the commentary box for this one, but for the semi-finals, I'm delighted to say that brand manager for Moog, who are one of the series partners for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, Paul Tilsey, has come to join us. Paul, it's great to see you here for what I gather is your first trip into the commentary box. Welcome along.
Hello, yeah, indeed, my first time, so thank you.
We've had some spectacular racing here at Tour. I know you've got many guests here this weekend. It's a different circuit for the drivers. It would appear that, in these hot conditions, it's a very physical circuit for them, is what they've all been saying.
Yeah, indeed. I really respect all the drivers in their cars. I mean, I've been running around for my customers all days. I'm sweating, so can you imagine what it is for those guys in the cars?
Well, we heard 60 to 70 degrees inside the car is what we were hearing yesterday. Just tell us a little bit on the build-up to the race. Just tell us a little bit about Moog. You know, we have lots of series partners that are involved, whether it be BF Goodrich tyres that provide the BF Goodrich that provide the tyres, whether it be Whelen, that series sponsors with their lighting systems. But Moog might be a company that some people perhaps haven't heard of.
So Mook has already been a sponsor in the US for more than 50 years. We have a lot of victories. In fact, every victory that was there during 52 years was with Mook parts on it. And since a couple of years, we're now also the official partner on steering and suspension, meaning that we have all the cars equipped with our parts. And so this is also the reason why we were willing to do this in Europe, because let's be honest, this NASCAR is really the way to test durability and to test quality of our product.
So obviously, this is the competitive side of Mook's supply, but that moves across into road car provision as well.
Yeah, of course. So we have a lot of knowledge that we try to use to develop the products that we have, and all those knowledge we will also put into the aftermarket, into our parts.
And the best way to test it, as you say, is on the racetrack, because it's a very rigorous test. And you supply, as you say, suspension parts and chassis parts for all of these cars here on the grid, the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and as you say, on the other side of the Atlantic. So you must be a very busy chap then.
I'm still here on the weekend, so it means that I still have some spare time now.
You're still working though whilst you're here. You're still working whilst you're here.
Thank you. I hope my boss is listening.
I've seen you. Yes, rest assured, boss. He works all of the weekend. He's been a very busy guy, has Paul. Good crowd here, good weather, great racing, a few incidents along the way, but thankfully, whilst we've had the odd incident along the way, the drivers have all been fine, and the cars, I'm sure, will all be repaired with your parts, ready for Hockenheim.
Of course, because normally our parts, they do not need to replace that much. I mean, if you don't have any incidents, you can do a complete season with our parts. So indeed, now a couple of cars will need some new steering and suspension components. That's for sure.
And you became a little star of the live stream yesterday, because you didn't know the cameraman was behind you. You were dancing away in pit road. We spotted you.
I can confirm you that already a lot of people are watching the live stream, because the WhatsApp messages that I received like 2 minutes later, I was quite surprised because I didn't saw the cameraman standing. So thank you guys.
Yeah, we didn't direct the cameraman. He found you. It was nothing to do with us. Had it have been to do with us, he would have found you early, and we'd have seen even more of you than we saw on the live stream.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not doubting that one.
So if you weren't with us earlier on, it's the first semi-final for Elite 1 that is out there now. So this is half of the grid in reality. The top 10 cars from this race will go through to take a place in the final, and we'll have the same in the second of the semi-finals. The top 10 cars will go through, so 20 cars on the grid for the final. Let's hear the infamous words. There we go. The engines are fired into live. Drivers, start your engines. Those infamous words that start every NASCAR race. Let's quickly guide you through the grid. They will have 5 green flag warming up laps before they get the green. Number 3, Fred Gabion, the winner yesterday, the championship leader, twice a runner-up in this championship with 2 wins under his belt so far this year, sits there on pole position. And that number 3 car is yet to be beaten in the finals so far. In fact, it's yet to be beaten in any of the races that it's taken part in, because it's won both of its semi-finals yesterday in the hands of Fred Gabion in Elite 1, in the hands of Ulysse Delceau in Elite 2. It won both of the finals yesterday as well. And, can we see that car remain unbeaten? Because today, earlier on in Elite 2, Ulysse Delceau won his semi-final, and he won the final. So that number 3 Toyota is the one to beat. Fred Gabion sits there on pole position. Alongside is the all-black PK Car Sport number 11 car in the hands of Stinis Longines. So it's a Frenchman and a Belgian on the front row of the grid. Row 2 of the grid, it's the green and black number 18 car of Bobby Labonte, sitting alongside number 50, which is the Hendricks Motorsport car, the leading junior driver that we've got on the grid, which is Loris Hazemans. The next row of the grid should be Romain Iniesta, but that car is not there. It was involved in an incident in the race earlier on today when it was in the hands of Florian Venturi, and it has not, by the look of things, made it onto the grid. And therefore on his own is the light blue car on the left-hand side of your screen, which is Lucas Lesser, double former champion who joined us in the commentary box earlier on. There's another car missing from the next row of the grid, which means that Jerry Zavert has not made it out at the wheel of his Brax Racing number 78 machine. So Kenko Mura, number 2 for Alex Caffey Racing, is on his own on that row of the grid. And Dario Carzo is also on his own at the wheel of the Racers Motorsport number 8 car on the back of the grid. So looks as though we are a couple of cars down in this one. The teams will be working feverishly to try and ensure that those cars will be able to start the final, possibly, if they're allowed on, such as the decision from the race director. But we're about to get our first semi-final underway. This is going to be held over 35 green flag laps or 20 minutes. Laps under the yellow flag do not count. So if we go full course caution, we won't count those laps. It needs to be 35 green flag laps or 20 minutes, and that will then have an impact on where cars line up in the final, subject to the lap times that they post in this one. So the temperatures are rising in the commentary box, the temperatures are rising out on the circuit and in the cockpits, and well, we're going to see the temperature rise on track in a moment as these drivers go wheel to wheel, Paul.
Yeah, indeed. I was thinking the same thing. I was also amazed about the temperature here. But I think it will get even hotter out there. So.
I would have given a choice. I'd rather be in here than in one of those cars. Yeah, absolutely. And watch out for the cone rule. If you weren't watching earlier on, you can see where the cars are going now. The safety car now is just going over the point where a cone will be deployed if we go full course caution. 2 laps before we go back to green after a caution, that's when the cone rule will apply. And then as drivers head up to that cone with 2 laps to go, they either brake to the left of the cone, which means they're on the low side heading in towards turn 1 and turn 2, or if they want to gamble, they brake to the right hand side, which means if everybody goes to the left hand side and the car at the back goes to the right, well, he's no longer going to be at the back, or she's going to no longer be at the back. They go all the way up to the front of the grid. And Cone Guy, very brave man who pops that out there, watch out for him. He's become a bit of a star here in Tour this weekend. So weaving from side to side, trying to build the temperatures. We have not, Paul, unbelievably seen under the badging of NASCAR, we have not seen one single car claim all 4 victories on a race weekend. Well, Fred Gabion, if he can do that, not in this race, but in the final, that would be the first time that that's happened, and that's something very special. We'd make history.
For sure, and then having a French driver who does it here in France is also something quite special, I think. So I think the crowd will go completely nuts.
As Ulysse Delso did, won both of his final races at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Yeah, so Ulysse Delso already having done it. 1 to go is the signal from the starter. So they will now get themselves into 2x2 order. So Fred Gabion has the inside line as the lights or the flag will drop for them this time through. Stinis Longines has got the difficult task of trying to go all the way around the outside and close the door on Bobby Labonte. So you can bet your bottom dollar that France is in good shape here this weekend at Tours. They're in good shape to win the Nations Cup as part of the Oval World Challenge. Now, see how they might be able to get on in the World Soccer Cup as well, that's going on, of course, over in Russia. Here we go. We're about to get things underway. Fred Gabion and Stinis Longines on the front row of the grid. The green flag drops, and then Stinis Longines gets a good start. Can he close the door, though, on Bobby Labonte? Both himself and Loris Hazemans go on the high side round through turn 1. There's a little bit of rubbing by the look of things, but Stinis Longines has got the job done and has managed to hang on to second position. That was quite impressive, Paul, there. He had to go round the outside at turn number 1. He's got a former NASCAR champion behind him, and he was able to get back down to the inside line.
Yeah, if we want to start about the World Cup soccer, I think that Belgium also has a good team, so we also have good drivers. This is clearly something that we've proven here.
Yeah, the Italians have remained rather quiet, as have the Germans this weekend when we've spoken about football. Out front goes Fred Gabion, looking to try and see if he can break away. We've seen that Toyota Camry, the RDV competition number 3 car, on the early laps go very, very quickly. It seems the setup on that car means that that car breaks away, as it's doing now, already building a 4 or 5 car lead advantage between itself and Stinis Longines, who's there in second place. But as the race wears on, not so much when we saw it earlier on today with Ulysse Delso, but as the race wears on a little bit, it sort of loses a little bit of pace. They've set it up to come on very strong at the beginning of the race, because as we've heard, it's very, very difficult to overtake on this circuit. And if you hold your line and get cleanly off the corners, the cars behind, there's not a lot they can really do.
Yeah, I also talked to the organization here. I think for a sponsor we also need to test it once so that we have the experience, but I still didn't receive the car yet, so
I'm in the same boat as you there. It would be very good from a commentary perspective to understand how the cars feel, and the only way to do that is to get behind the driver's seat. Fred Gabion leading the race. Great fight for second, third and fourth. Well, and you can argue fifth place. Stinis Longines, a former Elite 2 champion, sitting there in second place. Former NASCAR champion Bobby Labonte in third place. Loris Hazemans, new to the championship over the course of the last year or so, sitting there in what will be fourth position, and double former champion, the light blue car for Michu Motors, the number 33 Chevrolet in this case, Lucas Lasser, sitting there in what will be the next position, that being fifth place. So 4 cars altogether, second, third, fourth and fifth, and this is just allowing Fred Gabion to just pull away a little bit. Look at the way that Bobby Labonte takes turn number 1 there. Interesting, not everybody takes the same line. Bobby Labonte takes a higher run up into the corner and tries to try and triangulate the exit of it. He's down to the yellow line now as they turn through turn number 4. A bit of smoke, is there not, just coming off the front wheel of Loris Hazemans' car. That could be something to watch out for as the race wears on, Paul. There you go, that same little bit of smoke. Something's rubbing there, isn't it?
yeah, it looks like it cannot be my part, so that's already a good thing.
whatever it is, it's something that's going to be taking a little bit of life out of that BF Goodrich tyre. Thankfully, as far as Loris Hazeman's is concerned, it's on the inside left tyre, which is not loaded up to the same degree as the right-hand side of the car. So again, you can just see that little bit of smoke coming from it as it heads out. It's definitely coming out of the wheel, isn't it? Yeah, now that could be tyre. That could be brake maybe that's binding a little bit. Semi-finals all went very smoothly in Elite 1 yesterday. It's the championship points in the final that really matter. 40 points for a race victory in the final. And because it's the World Oval Challenge, €5,000 go the way of the final winner. And that was Fred Gabion yesterday. So up towards turn 1 and turn 2. Great fight still. Still that smoke though, isn't it? I'm not sure that is the tyre. I think that might be the brake.
I think it's a brake, yes. Possible, but...
Yeah, so here we go. Stinis Longines still hanging on to the position. Now, the smoke, is it getting worse?
It's getting worse.
I thought the same. I was seeking your opinion there for all of the right reasons. I thought that's slowly getting worse. Now, if that's a binding brake, that is going to mean that he's going to have to alter his driving style, because that brake will not be as efficient as it was. The race officials will be looking at it, and if they think there's a problem, they may possibly have to call him into the pits. But for the moment, Loris Hazeman's is still keeping the pace of everybody else. We've still got these 4 cars fighting for what is 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th position all of the time, while Fred Gabion is pulling away. 1.7 seconds now is the lead advantage. But these 4, big difference to Elite 2 and Elite 1. The drivers seem to be that little bit closer to each other. We've not seen any rubbing as yet, have we? As they turn their way round through turn number 4. Great fight, Paul.
This is really nice to see. I mean, the cars are a little bit all over the place, but respecting each other, not bumping into each other, and luckily not hitting the walls.
Well, I think most of them have got the approach of that. The semi-final is not the place to try and win the race. The semi-final, just get through it, make sure the car's in one piece, head to the final. And even as Lucas Lasserre was saying earlier on in commentary when he joined us for the Elite 2 final earlier on, they're also thinking about the bigger picture. You can maybe dive for a move to try and get 1 extra championship point, but by risking that 1 extra championship point, you could potentially ruin your season. So you've got to look at the big pictures, and the intelligent driver will do that, won't they?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's also quite clear that this oval track, it's the only oval track that we have this season. Everybody is careful. I mean, we have some teams that didn't show up because of the oval track. I think it's normal that the drivers are a little bit more scared and taking a little bit more care of the car and watching out.
Absolutely, because the consequences of making a very small mistake are exacerbated on over. Bobby Labonte briefly going to try the high side here, gets back down to close off Loris Hazeman's. Well, not sure whether he missed his turn-in or braking point there, or was just trying something different, but that's backed them all back up again by the look of things. Stinis Longines still hanging on to 2nd place. Bobby Labonte, let's not forget, 1999 Busch champion with 20 plus wins in the top flight of NASCAR under his belt. 726 races in the top flight for Bobby Labonte. Still continues to hang on to the coattails of the number 11 PK car sport car, and still we've got that smoke from Loris Hazeman's car, which had got worse. It seems to have got slightly better again now. It's still there. Bobby Labonte's got the overlap this time on Stinis Longines. Can he do it up towards turn number 3? Stinis Longines just gets down. There's a little bit of contact between himself and Bobby Labonte. Puts Stinis Longines offline. Oh, too much throttle coming out of the corner for Bobby Labonte. He'd just got the place done and had got it with a little bit of a tag onto the back of Stinis Longines, but a brief spin for Bobby Labonte, and has that brought out the caution? It looks as though he recovered very quickly. And are we going to go caution as a result of that? Yes, we have. Yeah, we've gone full course caution. So unusual mistake there for Bobby. I'm not sure whether he either got on the throttle too early, or whether the car was offline, or whether it was a little bit of the bump there that unsettled him. But that's going to make for an interesting race. He's got all of that hard work to do again now. Looking to gain 1 place. Has actually lost 2, Paul.
Yeah, indeed. We know Bobby. I mean, he's the most experienced oval driver I think we have here, so he will make up for it. Don't worry.
And it's an enormous commitment from him and from Jaco as well. He flies from the other side of the Atlantic for his home in Texas to each round in Europe. He's going to stay over with his wife for a few days. They're heading up to Paris. They absolutely love Paris as a city, and Bobby's heading up to Paris. Beautiful, beautiful city for a few days. Now, Of course, cone rule is going to apply, so we're going to see Cone Guy head out. A little bit of bodywork that just needs picking up, and the cone rule, of course, will go out there. We'll see a cone plopped in the middle of the circuit at this point where the safety car is coming to now, but this is sort of the exit of turn number 2. We'll see that the exit of turn number 4, that sort of position just as they come off the bank onto the straight. And with 2 laps to go before we go back green flag racing, that's the decision you make. Go left of the cone or go right of the cone and take the high side. Bobby Labonte, I think, will go the high side. Anybody else you think that will go the other way and try for the outside line?
Well, yeah, I think Bobby, I mean, he's most experienced one on these things, so he will make the outside. I'm not sure what the others did. I mean, I'm quite surprised, in fact, to see this cone thing. You think that they will take left side, right side, and all the drivers just take the other one that I was betting on. So I'm not putting my money on this one, sorry.
I'm going to hazard a guess that Kenko Miura as well, because he's at the back of the grid. He's got the least to lose of anybody. If he tries the high side and can't get back down to the near side, to the low side, then all he does is end up at the back of the pack again, which is where he is. So why would you not? There's Cone Guy. Look, so Cone Guy is ready. We've seen some interesting things from Cone Guy. He sort of plops the cone in the middle of the circuit, and then he's usually got a surprise for us on each occasion. He's poised and ready to pop it out there. I don't think there's any reordering needs doing. Any debris on the circuit has now been picked up, and the safety car with its wheel and lights still illuminated, heading round through turn number 1 and turn number 2. And are we going to see the cone out on the circuit this time through? So weaving from side to side to try and keep a bit of temperature in there. There goes Cone Guy. Didn't see him. The camera didn't pick it up quickly enough there. So there's the cone in the middle of the circuit. So end of this lap, they need to decide. Do they either go to the left of the cone, the right on your pictures, or go to the opposite side? Stinis Longines, is he going? No, he's playing the game. Lucas Lasser, is he going? No, but Bobby Labonte does.
Look at them.
And Kenko Miura does. 100% record for me there. I got both of those right. There's Cone Guy, look.
Yep, he's going.
Don't milk it, Cone Guy, don't milk it. Get off the circuit. Right, so Cone Guy heads back off the track. He has been a star, Cone Guy, this weekend. We do like him. We like him a lot. So Bobby Labonte and Kenko Miura, the outside line. So Bobby Labonte, having been 5th, Paul, now finds himself 2nd for the restart. We're about to go green. Let's have a look, see what he might be able to do. We'll go green in 1 lap is what we're going to see. So this is the cone rule. It means that if you do take the gamble, you can find yourself gaining lots of positions. And we spoke to the drivers and the drivers' view on it. Do you like the cone rule that we've got here this weekend?
Yeah, this is really something for me. When I arrived on Friday and the organization tried to explain it, it was a little bit complicated in the beginning, I'm honest. But no, it's really a good alternative. I think we should do this even more.
I hope the way that we've been explaining it is, for those of you that are watching at home, is understandable as well. It takes a while to get it around your head. The whole format of this weekend is different to what we used to. Right, bumper to bumper is what we need to be. Stinis Longines is without question bumper to bumper with
this
Fred
is
Gallien.
Bumper to bumper. Yeah, this is what it
absolute
should be.
Here we go green once more. Bobby Labonte looking to try and hang
Bobby,
on to the high side.
he has it.
He's got the high side, but he needs to get back down to the low side before everybody squeezes their way through. Stinis Longines will hang on to 2nd. And now what can Bobby Labonte do? He's still on the high side, heading around through turn 3. He's got Loris Hazemans to his inside. Lucas Lasser is looking to try and work his way through as well. And they're still side by side, so it hasn't quite yet worked for Bobby Labonte. He was behind the light blue car of Lucas Lasser before the safety car came out. So even if he doesn't manage to get back down to the low side, as long as he can tuck back behind that blue car, he should be okay. And great driving. I don't think we've seen anybody hang on to the high side for as long as Bobby Labonte has done so far this weekend.
This is really nice. Yes, indeed. This is nice. This is real racing.
And there we go. He tucks back down below again. So there we go. Bobby Labonte back in the same position as he was before we had the safety car period. And the same for Kenko Miura. Tried the high side, it didn't work, he was at the back. Guess where he is now? It's at the back, so it hasn't worked for them this time. But if we do get another safety car period, the cone rule applies again, and we'll see what happens again. I like it. I'm the same as you. I think the cone rule is fantastic. Bobby Labonte up behind the double former champion from 2009 and 2010. Visitor in the commentary box earlier, Lucas Lasser. And, well, he had a good go to work his way past Stinis Longines. Took a few laps. How many laps do you think before he might try another move to try and gain the place?
Half of a lap?
Well, he's having a go now. He's got not a bad run coming off 2, but that is not going to work down this 650 metre track. So 650 metres for a full track. So the straightaways are only, 200 metres long, 250 at the absolute most. So he's back behind.
Yeah, he's searching his line. You can see him searching.
He'll be working out. He's a very calculated driver, as many of them are. He'll just be looking to see if there's anything that Lucas Lasser is doing ahead of him that just gives him maybe a slight advantage. And that's all you need, isn't it, around this circuit? If you have a very small advantage, you can pounce on it immediately.
Let's not forget Lucas's experiences neither. I mean, Lucas is also a guy who knows how to drive on oval track, so
yeah, for the
it
moment.
will not be easy for Bobby.
No, it's not going to be easy for Bobby Labonte. The laps are ticking off as well. Because of the safety car period, of course, we need to make sure we add a few laps on because it needs to be 30 green flag laps. 30 green flag laps. Well, we've had a few now under safety car. We've had 12 full course cautions, 12 laps of full course cautions. So we're now on lap 35 of a scheduled 42 if we remain green for the rest. And Bobby Labonte again having another little look at the inside.
Yeah, you can see how much experience he has from the many different lines he's trying, and that's really how you can pass it, and probably that's also how he can overtake even in the last lap. You see what he's trying to do now?
Here we go, yeah, Lucas, let's say a little bit sideways,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
is
he's
great
aside.
driving from Bobby Labonte. He queued
This is
that
nice.
up, hadn't he? Fantastic stuff from the 2000 Monster Energy NASCAR champion. Manages to get through and ahead of Lucas Lissette, a double European NASCAR champion. So that is fantastic driving. You could see, as you said, you know, he was working out where he had the advantage, what he needed to do with his car, and trying different things. Because if you try the same thing every time, the driver ahead knows what you're doing. If you try different things, he never knows, and that's exactly what Bobby did there. So Fred Gabillon pushing on. If we remain green, there's only 4 laps to go now between Fred Gabillon and a win in the semi-final. Well, he has been the driver to beat at Tour over the last few years. He has won over half of his races on ovals. Loris Hasemans was looking to try and steal second place away there from the number 11 car in the hands of Stinis Longines. They were getting very close together as they went through 3 and towards 4. But the order still remains the same, and it's still, as it has been really all weekend, that number 3 car. Doesn't matter whether Ulysse Delceau has been driving it in Elite 2 or Fred Gabillon in Elite 1, but that has been the car to beat as he now takes the white flag. And, well, it looks as though with 1 lap to go, Fred Gabillon is on for another win, and it could well see him on the front row of the grid for the final as well, Paul.
Yeah, so it means, I mean, pole position is really important on a circuit as this. So I think, yeah, I mean, not selling it before he won it, but I think he makes a good shot to do 4 in a row.
There goes the checkered flag, yeah. So Fred Gabillon wins again, and that is now just 1 more race away from that number 3 car taking a total, and I mean a total clean sweep of every race, because it's now won every semi-final it's been in, whether it be yesterday in Elite 2 or Elite 1, whether it be today in Elite 2 or Elite 1. It won both finals as well, yesterday in the hands of Ulysse Delceau in Elite 2 and Fred Gabillon in Elite 1, and there's only 1 more race to go here, or 2 more races to go, and 1 more race in which that car will be in, because it's done its semi-final, it will get through to the final, and we'll now have a new batch of cars heading out onto circuit very shortly. So we'll get some reaction from the drivers as they head down there in what are ever-warming conditions here in downtown Tours. And well, Fred Gabillon now having claimed the victory. Hopefully we'll get the graphics so we can run through the order for that one. There we go, perfect timing. Yeah, Fred Gabillon claims the win at the wheel of the number 3 RDV competition Toyota Camry. Second was number 11 for PK Carsport, the Chevrolet Camaro of the Belgian driver Stinis Longines. In third position, it is number 50, the leading junior driver home, and a junior driver, if you're wondering what that is drivers aged 25 and under that enter the Elite 1 Championship. Loris Hasemans for Holland. And for Hendricks Motorsport, at the wheel of his Ford Mustang, was there in third place. And fourth place goes the way of number 18, Bobby Labonte, which means we've got 4 different manufacturers and 4 different nationalities inside that top 4. Sorry, 3 different manufacturers and 4 different nationalities inside the top 4. In fifth place, it's number 33, Lucas Lissette, the Michi Motors Chevrolet. Sixth place is where we see the leading challenger driver home, and the leading challenger driver is for bronze and silver graded drivers that enter the Elite 1 Championship. That is number 8, which is Dario Carzo, the Italian, for Racers Motorsport. Seventh place, number 2, Kenko Miura for Alex Caffi Racing, the Japanese driver. And unfortunately, we didn't have out number 32 for Go Fast Racing, Roman Iniesta, at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, misses the semi-final. Hopefully the car will be fixed for the final. And also number 78, Jerry Zavert, is also not out in that one as well. So we have lost a few cars over the course of the weekend for varying reasons. So that gives you the results. We will hand down and grab some interviews as and when we can from down there. And, well, that was a very interesting semi-final. So the circuit being prepared, ready for the next of the semi-finals. I know Paul has sort of got to dash off at 4 o'clock, so because you've got more work to do down on the grid on the build-up to the big races. So we appreciate you coming in, but I fully understand that you're going to have to dash probably midway through this semi-final.
You know, I appreciate being here because, in fact, this is the first race that I can see this weekend. I saw any of the races this weekend, so this is nice.
It was interesting, actually, because when we've had the drivers in here over the course of the whole weekend, they've been looking at the camera footage that we see, that everybody else that's watching the stream sees, and they've learnt things just by looking at what the cars are doing, and from the camera positions, they've learnt various things about their own car and how it's performing, and what their competitors are up to as well. So we'll be ready for some interviews in this one, and well, we can see that the crowd are still enjoying the sunshine. You can see their umbrellas are up. It was wet this morning when we arrived. I couldn't believe I walked out of the hotel this morning, Paul, and the skies were grey. It was spitting with rain. But we can chat to our drivers down in pit lane area. Let's have a chat to Bobby Labonte.
Got on the gas because I moved the 11 car. I moved the 11 car, and then I had too much wheel into it. Okay? But even after that, it's like...
Well, we'll be with him in a moment. He's just chatting through a few things to the team, but he's going to now, I think, have a chat to Andre, who is our reporter down there, just chatting through exactly what happened when he had his spin midway through that race. And again, as ever, whatever the pro, feeding back what happened to see whether there might be some changes they need to make. But we can now talk to the 2000 NASCAR champion, hopefully down there in pit lane.
I shaved. No good. Mistake. Rookie mistake.
All right, Bobby, you were fourth in semi-final 1 in Elite 2. Two great battles with Stinus Lager and Luca Lascelles. How was the race in your view?
You know, it was good. Hard to pass. You know, my car was too loose, and when I got around the 11 car, it just spun out because it was just too loose. And it was a loose. And when you're behind cars, you can control it, but, you know, trying to get in front of them, you know, it just lost the back end. But, you know, they'll finish. At least finished yesterday and didn't finish. I hadn't finished the race in 3 times, so at least I finished.
Yeah. What do you expect for the final?
A lot of crap happening. Probably. You watch and see. It's going to be hard to run on the outside, so everybody protect the inside, and everybody's going to block, and so people are going to get spun out after, you know, 15 laps. So.
All right, thank you very much, and good luck for the final. We are back to Mark.
Thanks, Andre. Yeah, we'll try and get some more reaction from some of the other drivers that are down there in pit lane. Bobby Labonte trying to take a well-earned drink there. I think that might be fizzy water he's picked up, sparkling water. So, yeah, the crowd sheltering under the umbrellas. There's not a lot of shade here. We're talking earlier on, Paul. I say, you know, I clambered out of the hotel this morning. What did we leave? It's just gone 7 o'clock in the morning that we left the hotel, and the forecast today was scheduled to be 37 degrees. I couldn't believe grey skies and rain when we woke up this morning.
Yeah, I was also quite amazed when I walked out of my hotel. A little bit afraid, in fact, because I'm not sure if we would have the same fun today under rainy condition. Not too sure.
Well, it was wet for the warm-up session this morning. It was damp for the first semi-final that we saw for Elite 2. It had dried sufficiently because it's a very warm temperature, hot ambient temperature, so the water has very quickly evaporated and dried, which meant for the Elite 2 semi-final 2 earlier on this morning, it meant that there was only one car that went for the treaded tyre. Everybody else was on the slicks, and some of that is to do with tyre preservation, because each car only gets 4 tyres for a whole race weekend, 4 brand new tyres for a whole race weekend. They are put on the car for qualifying. After qualifying has taken place for both divisions, for Elite 1 and Elite 2, then 2 of those tyres, the brand new ones, are given to the Elite 1 driver for the weekend. The other 2 are given to the Elite 2 driver for the weekend. And then that means, well, whilst they've got 2 brand new tyres, where did the other 2 come from is the question. Well, they come from the previous round at Brands Hatch, so they pick 2 of the best remaining tyres from Brands Hatch and carry them over to this race meeting. And as we've heard from many of the drivers, unlike a road course where you'd probably put those 2 newer tyres on the back, because of the banked oval here and the fact that you're loading up on the 2 left-hand turns, the right-hand side of the car, the newer tyres have all been going on the right-hand side of the car today, and the 2 tyres they've carried over from Brands on the left-hand side. Warm temperatures, but you've really got to manage the tyres. Okay. We've got another driver we can chat to. Let's have a chat to double former champion Lucas Lascelles.
Luca Lascelles, 5th place in semi-final 1 in Elite 1. You had a very, very hard battle with Bobby Labonte at the end of the race. What do you say?
That Bobby is, he have, 10 years more than me. 10 years more experience than me, especially in oval. No, but it's a joke. But Bobby have a lot of experience, and his LDV car so fast this week. So I did a little mistake, but Bobby with his experience overtake me, and I prefer to open and to keep the car safe for the final. So for me, it's a good position, for the championship. It's very, very important to finish the race and with a clean car and score points.
How is it to drive here in Tour Speedway?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I would like just to have another lane, because with just one lane, it wasn't. It's mandatory, forbidden to touch other car. So it's impossible to overtake, and so I mean the technical driving is very funny, but on the other side it's too difficult to overtake, and the race is to overtake.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck for the final, and we're going back to Mark Verrill.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, good to hear from Lucas Lasser, and as we keep hearing from so many drivers, it is just so difficult to overtake. So the cars for the second of our semi-finals, which again will be held over 35 green flag laps or 20 minutes, are now making their way onto the grid, and it's been a bit of a weekend of attrition because again I can see there is one car that is missing off the grid. You can see sort of a gap there where we were expected to see somebody head out, but there's one of the cars that hasn't been repaired. So Paul, I know you've got to dash soon. You've got customers here, and one of those customers is going to be very, very lucky because they're going to act as Grand Marshal, are they not, for our final coming up after this race?
After this race, yes, indeed. So that's the reason why I need to go. Sorry, work is calling me.
No, you go whenever you need to. Just give me a nudge and we'll say goodbye to you. We really appreciate it. Yeah, Paul Tilsley, brand manager for Moog, and we thank them. We really do thank them, and Knauf and K&N and Ken Oil and Silverline and everybody else, Deck Sweat, Marla, all supporting this series. We couldn't do it without them, and we will do it all again after we've got this race out the way and the final as well, of course, which will have €5,000 attached to it for the race winner.
Yeah, we have some people waving over there.
They're waving at us, yeah. So where were they? They're around the number 54 car, which is the Cal Racing car. They're all sort of waving at us. We'll do it all again at Hockenheim, and the final race weekend, it's in your home country, so you'll have even more guests, I'm guessing, will we, when you head to Zolder?
It will be huge. I mean, I'm guessing that we will bring even more than last year, and last year we already were at 350, 400 customers, so it will be even more.
So if the boss is listening, you'll be doing even more work there.
Yeah, but let's not put KPIs on the 500 because
key performance indicators. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all had them. Yeah, we've all had them. So the cars are out there. Let's just have a quick look at the grids then. As you can see right at the front of the grid, the number 54 car. You can just see it there in the centre of your screens, but at the bottom, that is the current reigning Elite One champion, Alan Day, the Israeli driver for Cal Racing at the wheel of the Toyota for this weekend. And you can just spot in the bottom, there is Alan Day sitting on board that car. A little wave from Alan Day, who's had 3 wins already so far this year. He sits there on the front row of the grid and will at the wheel of that, as ever, immaculately turned out Cal Racing machine. Alongside him is number 77, the Memphis Racing car in the hands of Alexander Graf, the Swedish driver, his Chevrolet Camaro. New team, new driver to the championship this year, but for Alexander, he is a multiple V8 champion in Sweden. Row 2 of the grid, it took a bit of a battering in the Elite 2 race when it was in the hands of Petro Bonnet, but the Brax Racing team have gone to work beautifully well, and Alex Sedgwick, the British driver, sits there on row number 2 on the inside, concentrating on what lies ahead in this semi-final. A driver that I certainly think this year has come back with a car that has not really had much of a scratch on it so far this year. Fair racing, Paul, from him.
How long is he already in the series now? Because he's quite he entered like 1 race ago.
He came in at Valencia. No, he's done every round so far, but he's moved around. There's Gianmarco Ercoli, who is on the outside of that row, a driver that won at Brands Hatch last time out. So yeah, Alex came in, raced in Elite 1 in Valencia.
Okay.
He moved to Elite 2 when we went to Franciacorta.
All right.
And then he moved back to Elite 1 and changed teams to Brax Racing for Brands Hatch, who he's stuck with in Elite 1 for this one.
Okay, and he's doing really, really well. So.
He is doing
right.
very, very well. And then alongside him is that car there, which is car number 37, a former Elite 2 champion, having won that championship last year, Thomas Ferranda, who joined us in the commentary box earlier. Looks as though there's a gap where we should have had number 46, Justin Kuntz. It doesn't look as though that number 46 Racing Total car is out there, but the next car is, which is number 73, which is a very busy man, Willy Busenna, who races in both Elite 1 and in Elite 2 as well. Not in the same car. He uses Thomas Ferrando's car in Elite 2, but moves to this one for Elite 1. And alongside him is the hugely likeable Mauro Trione, the Swiss-based Italian, who is sitting at the wheel of that light blue number 31 car. Next row of the grid is number 44, which is Matthias Hauer, at the wheel of his Cal Racing machine. And unfortunately, there's a couple of other cars that maybe ought to have been on the grid that haven't quite made it. Mark Goosens is not out, and also Francesco Cini, poor old Francesco Cini, it's worth mentioning him. His Solaris Motorsport car. You arrived here on Friday, did you, Paul?
Yeah, Friday.
When I arrived here, his car was already going home on a trailer. He had, I think, some sort of mechanical issue with the car, which meant that he was pitched into the wall in free practice and bent the chassis, and he was going home.
Yeah, if you go into the wall a little bit too hard, too fast, I mean, it's over for the complete weekend. We saw more crashes than this, I think, on the weekend. So
Yeah, himself and Anthony Kumpen, the number 24 PK Car Sport car that he shares with Guillaume Dumoulin, that was also out for the weekend as well with chassis damage in yesterday's Elite 1 final. So, cars lining up on the grid, and well, it won't be that long before we then start to hear those infamous words again, and the cars will get ready to head around what will be 5 warming up laps before the green flag will fly in our second and last semi-final of the weekend, with the final still to come, of course, which will be held by over 50 laps or 30 minutes. 50 laps being green flag laps as well. Any additional safety car laps will get added to that total. So I know Paul has got to disappear in, what, about 4 minutes. You need to get all of his correct passes, find his guest that is going to be the Grand Marshal, and then escort him onto the grid ready for the build-up to our final NASCAR race here before we head to Hockenheim. Double points at Hockenheim, so it's not 40 points for a race victory as it will be in the finals. It will be 80 when we head to Hockenheim on the 15th and the 16th of September for rounds 9 and 10 of the championship. And the American Festival NASCAR finals take place at Zolder in Belgium on the weekend of the 20th and 21st of October. And it's also worth remembering that there's a fantastic prize, Paul. The winning team after this weekend will head and compete and show their car at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in the UK. And the winning driver in Elite 1, the driver that's leading the championship, which is highly likely to be Fred Gabillon, will be heading over to Canada to race in August. So great prizes available on offer to competitors in this championship.
yeah, I think this is also one of the things that we should do. I mean, also from the side as a sponsor, we should try to develop the guys, give them a little push, make sure that they have opportunities, take them to the US, take them everywhere, just push. I mean, we have such good drivers here. Those guys are really, really good. I mean, we should push them.
And it's all in place, isn't it? When you look at the companies like Moog and what you do on the other side of the Atlantic, you look at what Whelan's involvement is on the opposite side of the Atlantic. We are part of the NASCAR family, which has got a busy weekend of racing with everything that's gone on at Chicagoland this weekend. It really is a fantastic opportunity for drivers, and I think more and more younger drivers are now looking at this as the opportunity to build a career in Europe, keeping their fingers crossed that it could then see them head to the very pinnacle of NASCAR racing over in the US as well.
Yeah, you have Ercoli, you have, but we saw the Flandern also on the podium. So, I mean, those guys are so young, and they are amazing. I mean,
yeah, I mean, Gianmarco Ercoli is the case in point. He was the Elite 2 champion back in 2015. He's graduated to Elite 1. He is now the first driver to have won a race in Elite 1. And he'll be looking to try and mount a challenge for the championship and hopefully at some point head over to the US. I think we're not that far away from those words being uttered, because there's just now the odd mechanic or so alongside the car. And we are literally, I think, seconds away from hearing the words that will get this last semi-final of the weekend underway here at Tour on the 650-metre 9-degree banking. So the signal is given, and, well, I think you're probably going to miss the start of the race, Paul, are you not?
yeah, I'm already looking. I mean, I have 1 minute, so I think I need to run now. So at least when I'm walking to the gate, I will see them starting.
I will say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for this opportunity, Reed. I really loved it, and I hope to do this again sometime. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks to Paul Thursey, brand manager for Moog, and we thank them for their support in this championship. And I hope all of your guests have a fantastic day, and hope your Grand Marshal enjoys it as well. So thank you to Paul Thursey for stepping in last minute as well to come and join us as well. We really, really do appreciate it. You can go and cool off a bit now, Paul, outside as well. So Paul makes his way ready to greet his guests and get ready for the final that will be coming up. But this is the last semi-final, 35 laps if we remain green all of the way. You can see the yellow car is Alan Day. He is the reigning champion. He actually won the first 3 races of the year. You could argue he won the first 4 because he took the checkered flag first at Franciacorta, but there was ultimately a very small technical issue with the car that wasn't within the regulations, so he was not classified with having claimed that win. So he's won 3 this year for sure. He has also finished on the podium at Brands Hatch last time out, where he finished in 3rd position. He's got that all-important inside line for the start of this second semi-final for Elite One, whereas for Alexander Graf, the Memphis Racing black and yellow car, it's a new team for this year. The team has had a win because it won in the hands of Guillaume de Flandre when we were racing earlier on in the year, but for Alexander Graf, he has not had as good a season as he would wish, as off they head onto their first, as we say, of 5 green flag laps, or green warming up laps, ready for the green to fly. So Alexander Graf's best finish so far coming into this weekend was 11th position in the first of the races that we had in the season down at Circuit Ricardo Tormo in the south of Spain in Valencia. From there we went to Franciacorta in Italy, to Autodromo Franciacorta. Then it was on to Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit there in the UK. We're here at Tour, the only oval on the calendar, and then, as we've said, Hockenheim and Zolder complete the 2018 lineup. So, cars heading out there. Again, if we get a safety car period, then a couple of laps before we go back to green, the cone rule will apply. And just to clarify yet again, with 2 laps to go before we go green, cone goes in the middle of the circuit, outside of the exit of turn number 4. From there, drivers going left of the cone, it'll be right on your television screen, such as the picture that we see, will start on the low side for the restart. If drivers decide to go to the right of the cone, well, they will start on the high side, and it's up to the driver to decide that. The driver, in conjunction with their spotter, will decide as to what they want to do. And we've certainly seen some drivers, not just in semi-finals, but in finals in particular, where we've got 20 cars on the grid, then we see some drivers have massive, massive position gains as a result of that. Hasn't always worked out for them, but on some occasions it really had. And the casing point for me this weekend is the number 37 Knauf car of Thomas Ferrando that is in this race. Thomas yesterday in the final was off the lead lap. He got the lucky dog, he got the lap back and was allowed to pass and get the lap back, and then from there, well, he chose the outside. He told me earlier on in the commentary box he was going to choose the outside every time if there was one, and it worked for him yesterday. From being a lap down, he finished in 7th position. So that is the casing point, that it does work. If you gamble, sometimes it can come off. Other times it hasn't come off, and we've ended up with drivers involved in incidents and in the wall, unfortunately. So the Whelen lights remain on the Chevrolet safety car, and you can see the weaving being done from side to side. Yellow car is Alan Day. The black and yellow car is Alexander Graf. The blue car with the red flashes and now the yellow tape on the bonnet, I noticed, for this race is the number 90 car of Alex Sedgwick. So it's an Israeli, a Swedish driver, a Brit, an Italian, a French, and then a German, all different nationalities inside the first few rows of the grid. So 1 to go is the indication that has been given. A couple of cars missing off the grid that again are in the process of hopefully being repaired, but I do fear that Francesco Cini, we know he's already gone home, and Mark Goosen's car I don't think will be on the grid either for the final. So we might see possibly, hopefully, those cars that were missing from the first semi-final make it onto the grid for the final as well. So it has been a bit of a weekend of attrition. Such is the tight confines of Tours. We're about to go green for the penultimate time at the start of a race, and it's a good start from Alan Day. Alexander Graf is trying to match him. Actually has got the better start, but he's on the high line heading through turns 1 and turn 2. And Alex Sedgwick is, I think, going to try and sneak through here, as he's got the inside line on Alexander Graf. And can he squeeze his way through? No, the Brax Racing Machine still sits there in 3rd place. He's now got Gianmarco Ercoli looking to try and go around the outside, a winner from earlier on this year, but Ercoli's still on the high line, and Alexander Graf will eventually hang on to 3rd place as Ercoli drops back down to the low side and tucks himself through into 4th position. It is Thomas Ferrando who's there in 5th, and Paul and Wilfred Busenna who is there in 6th place at the wheel of the second of the Knauf cars currently. Alan Day out front, and we're looking to try and build a little bit of daylight here. He's got space between himself and Alexander Graf as they all run very close to the wall, a couple of them coming out of turn number 2. Thomas Ferrando looking as though he was struggling for rear end grip there midway through turn 3 and turn 4, so he sort of rolled off the throttle. He did say earlier on he was going to roll the car into the corner and try and pick up that throttle that little bit quicker, and some of that had come from the television pictures he was looking at and studying, and I think there he probably put that into practice, but this stage of the weekend, when the tyres have done a few laps, maybe just planted his right foot on the throttle pedal that little bit earlier. So again, sideways, you can see them coming off the corner there. Both Alexander Graf and Gianmarco Ercole were sideways coming off the corner. One of the marker boys is in the centre of the circuit, which thankfully hasn't as yet been of a concern for the officials. So we've not gone full course caution because of debris as yet, but we have got a great fight on for second, third and fourth position. The black and yellow Memphis Racing car, the Chevrolet of Alexander Graf, under pressure from the Ford Mustang of Alex Sedgwick, and equally as much as another Mustang behind that as well, which is Gianmarco Ercole. Alex Sedgwick, the leading junior driver that we have in the field as well, who has been very clean throughout the course of this season. We saw him run through 6 or 7 corners side by side with Bobby Labonte in Valencia down at Brands Hatch. He'd got Francesco Cini coming up his inside, heading in towards what would be turn 3 there. Saw him coming, could have had an accident, but avoided any contact. And as I said earlier on, I don't want to put a commentator's curse on him, but Alex Sedgwick has brought that car back in very good condition at every race so far this year. Very quick driver, very clean driver, and is making himself known to others for all of the right reasons, I would say. Absolutely. But for the moment, he's having to give second best to the Swede that lies ahead of him, whilst the Italian, Gianmarco Ercole, who's second of the junior drivers in this race, junior drivers being 25 years or under at the beginning of the season, well, he is sort of looking to try and keep him at bay. The two Knauf cars together as well, the two teammates, Tomo Ferrando and Willy Busenna. Willy Busenna is the grey and light blue car, Tomo Ferrando just ahead of him. Those two fighting over 5th and 6th place, with Mauro Trioni, the leading challenger driver in the field, just behind as well, and that's for bronze or silver graded drivers that enter the Elite One Championship. So we can see those two Knauf cars still together. Tomo Ferrando ahead of his fellow countrymen at, of course, their home NASCAR Grand Prix. The two Frenchmen squabbling away, but I would imagine more, as this is a semi-final, working together, just making sure that they don't hold each other up, that they can try and keep in contact with the group of cars ahead. And Alan Day, who had been sprinting away in the lead of the race, has now all of a sudden been caught. Alexander Graf and Alex Sedgwick, who looks to the inside line through 1, that's not going to work. So it's still the same order as they turn their way out of 2 and down towards 3. But from having romped away in the early stages of it, Alan Day now is just getting caught and picked off a little bit. 12 laps now already completed of the scheduled 35. All have been green so far as well. And you can see now maybe Alan Day is just starting to have to up the pace a little bit. His best lap so far, and the best lap of the race, is a 17.192 second lap. He's lapping, 3/10 slower than that currently. I gather there's also a black flag for number 44 towards the tail end of the field, which is Matthias Hauer. His number 44 Cal Racing Toyota Camry for this weekend has clearly got a problem, so Matthias Hauer is being black flagged. He's already gone off the lead lap, but it looks as though, as the cars in second and third come up towards him, it might give us a glimpse as to why possibly the officials have taken the decision to show him the black flag, which means he will have to head down pit lane. 16 laps now completed. We're almost at half distance point in this particular race for the car of Willy Busenna. Still there now, but ahead of Tomo Ferrando. And Alan Day is gaining again, so maybe a little bit of a mistake through the traffic what caused the gap to close up. But the race leader, number 54, is now pulling away yet again, and the gap is up to 1 1/4 seconds, having been, a quarter of a second a few laps ago. So whatever the problem was, or the mistake was, Alan Day has got his head back on again. And there you can see, the gap has certainly opened up again. He's coming up against his teammate from Cal Racing, which is the car of Matthias Hauer, who's still out there and circulating. And this is still the fight for second and for third position. 3 different teams inside the top 3, 3 different nationalities inside the top 3. Toyota leads. Toyota sitting there, that is in the hands of Alan Day, leading the race. Alexander Graf in his Chevrolet in second place, and it will be the Ford Mustang in third place. So 3 different teams, 3 different manufacturers, 3 different nationalities in the podium places for this final semi-final here of the weekend at Tours. 9-degree banking, 650-metre track with just these 4 turns has provided some good action. I think some of the drivers enjoying the circuit, others maybe just finding it frustrating with the lack of overtaking opportunities, but it has, without question, been a challenging weekend with the gradients, with the bumps, with the heat, with a mixture of everything, and the fact that here in the UK, of course, here in Europe, we are well used to racing on road courses rather than on ovals. For some drivers, for many of them, it is their first opportunity to sample tour, because it wasn't on the calendar last year. The oval on the calendar was Venray up in Holland. Alex Sedgwick doing a very good job, isn't he? Hanging on still to Alexander Graf and looking as though he's going to be the first junior driver home. He has dispensed with Gianmarco Ercoli. The number 9 Racers Motorsport car has fallen away, and well, there's no need to guess as to who won last time out we were here at Tour. Fred Gabillon won both of the races in 2016 when we were last here. He actually did that in 2013 as well, when the circuit was a subtly different configuration, when it had banked corners at turn 1 and turn 2 in 2013 for our second visit, but turn 3 and turn 4 was still flat. There was no banking built at that stage. Willy Busenna is the one to watch here. Having got through and ahead of the car of Tomo Ferrando a few laps ago, the number 73 Knauf prepared car is now starting to think about whether he might have an opportunity to squeeze his way through and past the number 9 machine of Gianmarco Ercoli, but laps are running out. We've got 10 laps to go, and he might be able to do it here, looking to try and get it. There was just the slightest of contact between the two of them. Jimmy Jett, as is known, you can see, just wagged the tail of the number 9 car coming out of the corner, but there was just the lightest of touches between himself and Wilfried Busenna, who still remains in that 5th position at the wheel of his number 73 Ford Mustang. But for Gianmarco Ercoli, a race winner already this year, the only driver to have won an Elite 2 championship, stepped up to Elite 1 and won a race overall. He's hanging on to the place, but the real serious stuff, the main championship points, and of course that €5,000 purse, all come for the next race after this one, which is going to be the final for Elite 1. Sideways coming out of turn 2, therefore Gianmarco Ercoli trying to get the throttle down as early as he possibly dare, and again you can see the car squirming around as he comes out of 4, whilst our race leader is still pressing on in the lead of the race, and these two are still at it, aren't they? Out of 2 once more. Ercoli still just ahead of Wilfried Busenna through turn number 4, and with now just 5 and a bit laps to go, can Wilfried Busenna, or does Wilfried Busenna want to do anything, or is he just going to make sure that he keeps his nose clean, hangs on to a reasonable place for the grid for the final that will be coming up not immediately after this one? There will be a brief respite for the drivers so they can take on some fluids on this warm day here in the Parc d'Expédition in the eastern part of Tours. Gianmarco Ercoli, I think, has the slower car at this stage from Wilfried Busenna, but can Wilfried Busenna squeeze his way through? He tries up towards turn 3, and Gianmarco Ercoli is trying to back him up in the corners now to then get a better run coming onto the straightaways, and that has worked for him there. So the Italian still just hanging on to it, hanging on to 4th place ahead of the Frenchman, who is rather frustratingly sitting there in 5th place, but with the laps ticking away, it's only 4 and a bit laps, or 3 and a bit laps to go. This is the fight for 4th and 5th position. Alan Day still out front and leading the race, the reigning Elite 1 champion. There's the squabble for 2nd and 3rd place, not quite what it was. Alexander Graf and Alex Sedgwick, the leading junior driver, as Alan Day squeezes his way back over the start-finish line, puts another lap into the book, and he should receive the white flag, I think, next time through. So we should get an indication from the official on the gantry and see that the white flag, I think, will be going out this next time through. Indeed it does, yet. So there's a white flag. Alan Day is now just 650 metres away from a win in the semi-final. It would be his first win on an oval. It won't count towards the statistics because it's only a semi-final win. We count the statistics for the main championship races where all of the points are attached, but it is at least a win and his first on an oval. Alan Day comes through and claims the win. Alexander Graf in 2nd position. Had a great battle, did the Swede, with Alex Sedgwick, who finishes in 3rd place, but is the leading junior driver home, i.e. those that are under 25 years of age at the beginning of the race season. And well, for Alex Sedgwick, he will be, I think, hopefully, reasonably pleased with that. Gianmarco Ercoli might be a little bit disappointed that he didn't maybe quite have the pace, but some of that may well be driving as quick as he needed to hang on to the place and save the tyres a little bit for the final. So there's a real strategy to be played here this weekend, where the teams and the drivers will have those discussions as to how they want to approach, in particular, the semi-finals. Come the final, when they have less to worry about, then they will throw caution to the wind a little more. We'll get some reaction from drivers down there in the pit lane area, but of course they will be preparing very shortly to head back behind the wheel of the cars, ready for the final that will be coming up shortly. So let's just confirm the results then for our second semi-final for Elite 1. It's the runner-up in the championship from 2015, but the reigning champion Alan Day for Cal Racing, the number 54 Toyota, claiming the victory in the hands of the Israeli. Second place for number 77, which is the Memphis Racing Chevrolet Camaro of Alexander Graf. And third place goes the way of the number 90 Brax Racing Ford Mustang of Alex Sedgwick, the leading junior driver home. Fourth place for number 9, that is the Racers Motorsport Ford Mustang of Gianmarco Ercoli. And fifth place is 73, the Knauf Racing Ford of Wilfred Brusenna. It's another Knauf car, the number 37 car of Tomo Ferrando with his Mustang that was there in 6th place. 7th place, and the leading Challenger driver home, which is for the bronze and the silver graded drivers running in Elite 1. That was the number 31. Blue Motorsport Chevrolet Camaro of Mauro Trione, with the 8th and last finisher in that race finishing with the black flag and therefore 13 laps adrift, but he will, providing the car's fine, make it through to the final. Number 44, which is the Cal Racing Toyota for this weekend of Matthias Hauer. Unfortunately, no Justin Kuntz on the grid. The number 46 Racing Total car was not there. And as we know, Francisco Cini's car is already back in the workshop being worked on, ready to prepare it for Hockenheim after an incident here on Friday. But hopefully we will see Justin Kuntz out there. We are getting ready to grab some reaction and comments from some of our drivers down there who will be very shortly with Andre down in pit lane area. But that was a good, nice and clean semi-final for the second batch of the Elite 1 competitors, and therefore I think for all of the teams, other than whatever the problem was with Matthias Hauer's car, they have very little, if any, work to do to prepare the cars very briefly before they head back out onto circuit, ready for the build-up for our final race here at Tour. The Elite 1 final will be coming up, and of course don't forget that carries a €5,000 prize, and the leader of the Elite 1 Championship will be heading out to Canada in August, and the leading team will be heading to the Goodwood Festival of Speed. So there's plenty still to play for here in Spain, in France, as the temperatures begin to build. There is Alan Day. Let's have a word with our semi-final winner.
Alan Day, winner of the semi-final to Elite 1. How do you feel after winning the race?
Well, not bad. It's pretty amazing that after we knew we are not too quick here, and we still managed to win the race. More than that, according to regulation, the one who makes the fastest lap in the winner who makes the fastest lap in the semi-finals will have the pole position for today. And yeah, now I need to fight Gabion, and I hope it's gonna be good.
So what are you expecting for the final?
Yeah, starting on pole, try to stay inside, defend. I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be easy as the semi-finals, but try my best and hopefully win the race.
All right, good luck for the final, and we're going back to Mark Verrill.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, great to hear from Alan Day, and well, let's see as to whether he can mount that challenge and that fight that he's looking for with Fred Gabion come the final, which will be coming up very, very shortly. Well, we've had one guest already come to join us in the commentary box, and that was, of course, from one of our supporters of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, which was Paul Tilsey from Moog. And well, I've got another very important person who his company also provides enormous amounts of support because they are the title sponsor for this one, and it's another Paul as well. Paul Garner has come to join us. Paul, it's fantastic as ever to see you at these events, and what a busy and a very hot weekend we've had in Tour.
We certainly have. Wow, this weather is just blistering. I hate to think what it's like inside them cars.
Well, we're hearing yesterday 60 to 70 degrees inside the car, and it's not so much the sun soaking through the windscreen, but it's the fact that you've got all of that protective flameproof clothing on and the helmet, and also all of the heat soak from the engine and the transmission penetrating through into the car. So it must be awful.
The poor drivers, I really feel for them.
Let's chat to Alex Sedgwick, who is with Andre.
Alex Sedgwick, was a very good semi-final for you in the 90 car of Brax Racing. Tell us, how was the race for you?
Yeah, it was a brilliant race. I mean, the team have done an awesome job to get the car back together after the Elite 2 race earlier today, and if anything, it's like the best handling it's been all weekend. So, no, really happy with it. We are pushing Alex hard. Just backed off a little at the end to save the tyres for the main race. But yeah, happy with that so far.
So it's your oval debut in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. What do you say about Tours Speedway?
It's awesome. I should have gone oval racing ages ago. It's amazing. Like it's I think it suits my style, being really sort of close quarters with the cars, and for the most part, it's been really good, clean racing. I've not surprisingly had that much contact all weekend, which is always nice. So hopefully that continues in the main race now, and yeah, we'll see what we can do.
All right, good luck for your main race, for the final, and we're going back to Mark Webber.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, so Paul Garner remains with us in the commentary box. And Paul, Whelen Supports, they are the title sponsors, the title supporters of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. We gave Paul from Moog the opportunity. Just tell us a little bit about Whelen and the products and your involvement on both sides of the Atlantic, really, with NASCAR.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Whelen are obviously heavily involved over in the US, and some years ago now, 5 years ago, the decision was to head over to Europe, and the market was needing a bit of a push over here, so Whelen put a lot of money into the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and they've helped us really get the American name out there in a great series. Just so as everyone knows, we are the world leaders, largest supplier of emergency lighting and siren systems to the police, fire and ambulance market. So if you ever come over and watch a race, you'll see all our displays with our flashing lights.
Well, you see the displays, you'll see them on the top of the safety car. When we look at on certainly the ovals that you see at some circuits as well as the flag signals that we get, they're all Whelen lights as well. It's an enormous market. It's an evolving market as well as technologies move on as well. As a company, Whelen have had to develop and embed those new technologies into their product streams.
Yeah, now everything's LED. It used to be all strobe technology, but it's all moved on.
And you see them all around you, helping you. So, if you drive past a vehicle that's broken down at the side of the road and it's being recovered, you'll spot the Whelen lights. If you go past a tractor that's going very slowly, you've got the light that's flashing on it. It's a Whelen light. So, and also, Whelen are involved in lots of other things. I go over to America at the beginning of the year and are involved with a car there that's backed by Whelen, and Sonny Whelen who runs the company and owns the company is a massive enthusiastic driver, former race driver when it comes to motorsport as well.
Correct, yes, and just adding on to the lighting side, if you see them in your rear view mirror, you've either done something bad or you need to get out of the way.
Yeah, particularly if they're blue. Yes, yeah, particularly if they're blue ones. Yeah, you have done something bad or get out of the way. Yeah. So you again, for you this weekend, and particularly, when we were at the previous round at Brands Hatch, we've seen a bit like Paul Tercy. You see it as the opportunity to promote your products with what you do, but also the opportunity to engage with your customer base and potential customers as well.
Correct. Yeah, we've had a great amount of support this weekend from our distributor in France, Signal Tech. They've had a lot of converters here with them, their family, their children. They've had a great time.
When you say converters, that's people that would build bodies onto vehicles and things like that,
Correct, yeah. The people who build fire trucks, ambulance vehicles, they've all been here with their families. They've had a great time. There's some of them still sitting up there in the stands now, probably burning away to a frazzle, but
their faces will be brighter than your beacons by the time they go home.
Very good. I like that one, Mark. Well done. I like that.
You're not keeping that one. That one's mine. But they've enjoyed themselves, and that's what it's about, because the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series provides some of the entertainment at each one of the events. The stream just shows this, but if you've not been to a NASCAR Whelen Euro Series event, come along to Hockenheim in the middle of September, the 15th and 16th. Come along if you can to Zolder. We were talking to a couple of fans that have travelled from Ohio to be here. They've seen NASCAR racing down in Mexico. They have seen NASCAR racing up in the Canadian Championship. They follow the main series and the Xfinity series and the Truck series throughout America, but they've never seen it in Europe. They've never even been to Europe before, and they've flown here, I kid you not, this weekend to join us here at Tour, all the way from Ohio.
What can you say? That's the complete dedication. I think a lot of us are dedicated, but these guys clearly were.
Have you been watching any of the footage? Have you seen Cone Guy, who is making a bit of a name for himself here?
Yeah, I've shared it on social media as well and sent it across to my boss Greg Scott, who might be listening.
Yeah, can we put a light on the top?
Yeah, I think he might need it with that dab.
You saw the dab. Yeah,
I saw the dab.
The dab's famous now. Yeah, the dab's famous. Cone Guy is slowly becoming famous as well. We were hoping we might be able to get a GoPro on him as well, but there are thoughts.
I can see a marketing opportunity here with T-shirts. Maybe we should talk to Anne and Jerome about this one for the next race.
Yeah, and the cone rule. We've joking aside, the cone rule. I'd not come across it before. It takes a little bit of reading to understand it. but I like it. In fact, I love it. I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's added a new dimension onto the racing, and I know that a lot of the teams have really embraced the decision to add Coneman in, and it's been absolutely superb. It's really made the, especially in the qualifying races that we've had here, a real bit of extra interest.
And if you are watching us on the stream, and you do, I hope that most of you do follow us on social media, whether that be Facebook or Twitter, at the at Euro NASCAR or NASCAR Whelen Euro Series if it's on Facebook as well. Do start to engage with us on social media. There'll be clips going out at the end of this finals where we'll grab 60-second, 90-second clips with the drivers, as you've probably many have already seen and picked up on that, because we can't hang on for interviews in Victory Lane with all of the drivers. We'll get what we can, but we'll do the rest of them post-race. But also, Cone Guy has been such a star this weekend. We want you to try and see if you can guess his identity, and I think there will be some things coming out on social media at the end of this. Maybe a photo of Cone Guy that we will try and obscure exactly what he looks like. We want you to try and see whether you can maybe send us what you think Cone Guy might look like, because he's always at distance. Every time I've seen him, he's too far away. You can't quite see what he looks like.
And he's covering his face up with that dab, so...
Bit of a superhero is Cone Guy. We need a cape for him or something like that. We need to sort of Whelen cape or a Moog cape.
A Whelen Moog cape.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We'll sort that. We'll see if we can sort that. For you, Paul, racing this weekend, you know, you've had, say, your French distributors here and many of their guests. Have you had the opportunity to see much of the racing?
Yeah, I mean, we go to virtually every race around the calendar, but obviously this weekend it's been pretty non-stop. So, yeah, we've seen all the racing. I don't think I've missed a lap so far. It's I've got the tan lines or the sunburn lines to prove it, especially on the back of the legs.
Yes, it has been rather warm, to say the least. Any drivers that you would pick out this weekend? You know, you know most of them very well, but any drivers that have performed above where you thought they would be this weekend?
I don't know about above where I thought they'd be, but I've got to mention the Brit, Alex Sedgwick. He's raced absolutely superb. Such a clean young driver.
Has done all year.
Yeah, has done all year since he started. He's now with a great team with Brax. I think they've supported him superbly. He's done really well, but he's just one of a whole bunch of young talent that's coming through here in this series. And for those experienced drivers, I really start to think they're starting to worry about these younger guys coming through, because there's been some great moves.
I totally agree with you there. You look at some of the youngsters that are coming through, and well, they're all youngsters relative to me, but I think, yeah, Alex Sedgwick, great young driver coming through, and that's not just because he's the same nationality as I am, but you know, Guillaume de Flandre is getting there. He, without question, is going to be one to watch out for. Runner-up in Belgian karting, as we can see some of the other drivers now starting to prepare themselves for the finals. You look at the likes of
Ulysse. I mean, Ulysse is
a
a double winner here this weekend. Ulysse has changed so much since I first met him 4.5 years ago to become such an accomplished young man. He's done absolutely superb. He's an absolute credit to the series. His father is crying his eyes out down there on the podium with him, and it's nice to see Ulysse has mastered opening the bottles of champagne now as well. He's absolutely superb.
We mentioned that, we mentioned that earlier on. Yeah, Gianmarco Ercoli and Tomo Ferrando having to help him when he stood on the top step of the podium to open the champagne. And I think for me, you know, for me, he can also be an inspiring character for other youngsters that are out there as well. For those of you that don't know him well, he suffers from autism, which within the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series is well known. And what he's done to develop himself as a racing driver, to develop himself as a person, this weekend quite happy to do interviews in English, so he's improving his English all of the time. And even earlier on today, he was doing the autograph session. I just tapped him on the shoulder and said, Ulysse, when you've finished, can we do a quick interview? Yeah, no problem. I said, well, I'll come and find you in the box. No, he came to find me. He wanted to do the interview, and that goes to show that, you know, he is getting there as a competitor now, and say with somebody that has that autistic trait, you know, that could be hugely inspiring to youngsters as well, and he's going to be a great ambassador for our sport, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has come such a long way where he struggled to talk with you. His English has obviously improved a lot, which has helped as well. Me and Gianmarco were there at his first win in Valencia, was it, in 2017? And that was a very emotional day for a lot of us. But yeah, he's the first person there in the paddock congratulating the other contestants, and he's a great all-round kid. We love him.
To have won both races in your home country, he looked hugely proud on the top of that podium. So I think he's another one. I think for me, Gianmarco Ercole, is another driver there. We can just see him with his overalls around his waist there, walking around the number 9 car. He's another driver that, he's an Elite 2 champion. He stepped up into Elite 1. He is now the only driver to have won the Elite 2 championship that has now won a race in Elite 1. So
yeah, Jimmy's a great character as well. His English is slowly improving, bless him. He's got the G.I. Joe haircut this weekend again. So who's got it right though? He's got no hair on his head, and there's a lot sweating. And yeah, good luck to him. But I would like to say thank you to all the teams. They make us all so welcome. It doesn't matter whether you know them well or not. There's been a lot of new teams this year that they open up to us. They come and talk to us. They let us come in for a coffee, and this weekend a nice cold bottle of water. It's always been a pleasure. And yeah, it's a great big family atmosphere, young, old, and everybody else in between. It's a great series. We're glad to be involved with it.
And we're delighted to have you as well. Absolutely delighted to have you. When you said cold bottle, water was not the next word that I was expecting, but it was the correct word, because you've got to hydrate in this weather. You've got to hydrate. Yeah.
I reckon I've drank about 3.5 litres of water today, and I still think I'm dehydrated. It's terrible.
I got to 4.5 in the end yesterday. Yeah, and that didn't include a lot of that water coming out. I hasten to add, or not where you would usually expect it to.
No.
Another driver I'm going to pick out, and I'm going to pick this one out because again I think he will learn, and that is Loris Hazemans. Has had the pace all year.
Yeah.
I'm sure Loris will admit on some occasions he's been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Correct.
On other occasions he has made a mistake.
Yep.
But he's learning from them.
I hope
and the results will come.
I hope so. I mean, he's obviously a very, very quick driver. He's got a great team behind him. He's got a great family name behind him as well.
Yep.
He's a great credit to the series. He's a lovely guy to come and speak to afterwards as well. Literally, he gets out that car like he's as fresh as a daisy.
He is, yeah.
Unbelievable fitness of the young man. But, yeah, I wish him the well for the rest of the season, and fingers crossed for the race today.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets on. Of course, he will be at the wheel of the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford Mustang. Dutch team, Dutch driver, and we'll say a very, very quick driver, the 20-year-old, and therefore, because he's 20, he's eligible for the Junior Trophy, and he'll remain in that for a few years as well, so he could be one to watch out for, because he's only 20. He can stay in the Junior Trophy until he's 25 at the beginning of the season. So there you can see, it's good that on the screen, the Whelen sign, Moog, who we've heard from as well, Knauf, BF Goodrich, who are the controlled tyre suppliers for this year. You've been to Tour previously. I say it's a circuit that has evolved from the first race back in 2012 when it was just flats to the first racing when there was banking in 2013. So you've sort of seen a bit of the story as your involvement has been here in the last year or so.
Yeah, it's because it's a track that's born for the series. It's getting it known and getting it known out there outside of Tour. However, talking to a lot of the people that are here, they're all local people that are coming that enjoy motorsport, enjoy the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series that have been previously, and it's great for us because we throw away a lot of caps, and I've seen so many Whelen Europe caps out there in the crowd this weekend. That proves that they're people that are coming back from previous events. So I'd say it works, and the drift cars and the legends have all helped. I mean, the racing this weekend and the entertainment on the track has been non-stop.
It has, and when you say non-stop, it's gone on until quite late as well. I had the circuit at 9:30 the other night, and there was still tyres squealing going on in the background.
I don't think I've ever been to a round where we've had 12 hours of entertainment.
And Cone Man has just provided 11.5 of that. So let's have a quick look. And yes, it does look as though we are now getting ready for the grid of this one. You can see the grid is in the hands of one of the officials there, just making sure that the cars head out onto the circuit in the correct order. And I think as we see the cars heading out onto the circuit, I think you've got to dash again, Paul, have you?
Yeah, I need to get out there, out to that front of that line, and I'm not sure if we're doing national anthems or not again, so I need to get out there and make sure I'm there.
I think we won't hold you up. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box. Thanks, guys. And we wish you all of the best, and your customers. Hope they have a great day.
Thank you. You've done a great job here, these guys, in really, really hot conditions. I don't know how you do it, but well done to all of you. Great team.
It's cooler than being in a car. That's all I'll say. Yeah, it's even harder work out. Thanks, Paul. So there you go. Paul Garner from Whelen, and Whelen. The cars out onto the grid. Come the competitors ready for our final race here this weekend. We've had 6 races per day here, what with the semi-finals, semi-final 1, semi-final 2, and then the final for Elite 2 earlier on today, and then semi-final 1 and semi-final 2, and now the final for Elite 1. 6 races per day, 12 over the course of a weekend. The main championship points, though, do not come in the semi-finals. any cars that finish outside of the top 20 don't qualify for the final. And therefore, any cars that fail to qualify for the final, the first non-qualified car in each one of the semi-finals will just simply receive 1 point less than the last classified car in the final. But I think because we've had a bit of a weekend of attrition and a few cars have been lost, I do think that every car will qualify for this final, and it means that there will be 40 points available for the winner of this race coming up. 35 for second place, 34 for third, and there it's a nice easy one. It descends by 1 point for every other car. And all cars have to do is cover at least one lap, and they will be classified as a finisher. So even if you retire on the second lap, you've done one lap, you will still be classified as a finisher, so you still pick up the appropriate points. There's also the opportunity for drivers to gain additional bonus points. So the driver who gains the most position during this race relative to the starting position can earn 4 bonus points. That's something else that the drivers need to consider. They also need to consider the fact that there is a €5,000 purse on offer for the winner of this race. And as we said earlier on, the driver that leads the championship leaving tour, which I think I haven't done the maths as yet, but I think that is now probably guaranteed, he says in brackets, to be Fred Gabion. Means he will be highly likely to be heading over to Canada in, what will it be? It will be around about 6 weeks' time to race out there. There's Bobby Labonte pushing his own car out onto the grid. So the 2000 Monster Energy NASCAR champion, properly part of the team in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Pure racing, real racing, as he pushes the car out onto the grid, ready for the final. And as we say, not only will Fred Gabion highly likely to be going out to Canada to race, such is the prize on offer, but RDV Competition, who I think are currently winning the team's championship, and what with 2 race wins for Yelise Delso already this weekend and a win for Fred Gabion, all being run by RDV Competition, I'd be very surprised if they don't leave Tour being the leading team, and therefore we will also see the likes of Fred Gabion and Yelise Delso driving their NASCARs up the hill climb as part of the Goodwood Festival of Speed in the UK, which also takes part in August as well. So whilst we might not have a NASCAR race in August, Fred Gabion, RDV Competition, are going to be rather busy to say the least. So the cars now making their way out onto the grid. I'm sure our cameraman down there, when they're all in position, will be able to guide us through the drivers and the order that they are lined up on the screen in front of us, suggesting the order that they will be in. But I just want to confirm by looking at the front row of the grid the way they are going to line up, because the official note to us has suggested that the final field will be set by the top 10 cars in each semi-final. Pole position will be given to the semi-final winner recording the best qualifying time on the Saturday or the fastest semi-final time on the Sunday. Now it says fastest semi-final time. That doesn't suggest whether that is the fastest lap in that semi-final or the fastest race time in that semi-final. So there is Alan Day. So there is the number 54 Cal Racing Toyota Camry for this weekend. Alan Day is indeed, as I thought he would be, sitting there on pole position by the look of things. So for the first time this weekend, the number 3 RDV Competition Toyota Camry of Fred Gabion is going to be on the outside line, and I don't think Fred has had that at all this weekend. He's been on pole for every start, for every restart, so he's got the high line this time through, Fred Gabion. He's already €5,000 richer than he was when he arrived at Tour, well, subject to however much celebrating he did with the team last night. But yeah, hugely likeable double runner-up in this championship, Fred Gabion. Clambers on board the number 3 Toyota that sits on the outside of the front row of the grid. Now that car that he's on board has won already 5 races so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races so far. I had to do the maths there. 7 races so far this weekend. Can they make it a clean sweep of claiming victory in every race that they've done? Alongside on the second row of the grid, that's where we see Stinis Longines, so he will start at the wheel of the PK Car Sport Chevrolet on the inside of the second row of the grid. Stinis on board the car, former Elite 2 champion, just having a few last instructions and conversations with the team before they strap him in and get him ready to go in this well, newly liveried, almost a new car for this weekend, because that car suffered a lot of damage at Brands Hatch last time out. And alongside him, being cooled, you can see the air blower on Alexander Graf. Thumbs up from Alexander. Of course, he's just done one race, so he hasn't had the respite of the drivers that were in the first semi-final, he's already going to be very, very hot indeed. So just trying to keep his core temperature down, blowing cold air into him. He's on the outside of the second row of the grid. Onto the third row of the grid. That's where we see the number 50 car we were talking about, weren't we? We were talking about Loris Hazeman's very, very quick driver, and he's learning lessons all of the time in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. He is the leading junior driver on the grid at the wheel of the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford. But alongside him is going to be another Ford, and it's another driver in the junior category, Alex Sedgwick, who gives us a little wave. We heard from him after his semi-final. You can see some of the scars on the side of his car from the hard work it's done so far this weekend. On to the next row of the grid. This is going to be row number 4. This is number 18, which is Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Monster Energy NASCAR champion. Over 525 races in the top flight of NASCAR, being run by RDV Competition, the same team as run Fred Gabillon's car that sits on that outside of the front row of the grid. But the Yakko supported number 18 car, nice and easy to spot with its light green and black livery. And for company, it's number 9, which is Gianmarco Ercoli, the Elite 2 champion from 2015, just putting on his racing gloves now. The next row of the grid, it's number 33, another driver we've heard from over the course of this weekend. It is double former champion from 2009 and 2010. The Mavi supported Michi Motors prepared number 33 car in the hands of the Frenchman, which is Luca Lasser, and well, for company it's going to be alongside him number 73, which is the first of the Knauf cars on the grid, which is Wilfried Busenna, another former champion. Wilfried Busenna, he claimed his championship back in 2009. So we look at the cars further down the grid. The next of the cars is going to be number 8, which you can see there. The red car is Dario Carzo. Here's the first of the Challenger drivers on the grid. Challenger drivers being the bronze and the silver 8 category drivers running in Elite 1. And for company, you can see the white and the light blue car, but now with the black bodywork towards the tail end, having had new panels put on it. It's number 37, which is the reigning Elite 2 champion, Tomo Ferrando. The next row of the grid, number 2, the largely white car being run by Alex Caffey Motorsport. The Japanese driver Kenko Miura has for company the light blue car that you just see in the bottom right corner of your screen, which is Mauro Trione. And then the final 2 rows of the grid will be number 32, if he's out there, Roman Iniesta, if they've got the car repaired. With number 78, Jerry DeVert, another car that was missing from its semi-final. We can't quite see them in picture. Hopefully they're out there. And then at the back of the grid, we, fingers crossed, might get number 46, which is Justin Kuntz, another driver that, sadly, with his Racing Total car, was absent from his semi-final. So that gives you the full grid that we are expecting for this one. There will be no Mark Goosens, there will be no Francesco Cini, but the crowd have still got a raft of cars with some very, very, very quick drivers on board. And, well, after this one, we can then take a bit of respite through, well, really almost the whole of July. It's 1st of July today, but the next time these cars will be out will be in almost, some 10 weeks' time, is it? When we head to Hockenheim on the 15th of September for round 9 of the championship, and round 10 of the championship will take place the day later on the 16th of September, and then Zolder in Belgium in the latter part of October, the 20th and 21st of October. So each one of the drivers by our commentators here will be introduced to the crowd. And when I say our commentators, that also includes one of the drivers, if you were watching early on, that was involved in the racing in the Elite 2 division, because for this weekend we had Adrien Pavio, who is the driver who was right at the sharp end of the Caterham Championship in France last year. He's raced single-seaters very well in the past, but he's turned his attentions to journalism and commentary for Formula 1 in France nowadays. But Adrien Pavio was driving Bobby Labonte's car, I've got to say, really impressively over the course of this weekend, both in terms of pace and in terms of when he was tagged at one point and the car rotated through 180 degrees, and he very quickly in yesterday's race spun it back through 180, hooked a gear, and away he went. So signal is given for the drivers to start their engines by our Grand Marshal, who of course is one of the guests of Moog this weekend. We heard from Paul Tilsey earlier on, and well, shows that for Adrien Pavio, shows that the car feels very natural for the drivers. We heard from him when he was talking on the interview, saying, you know, it looks as though it's a big and a heavy and a cumbersome car, but he said it really isn't. As he was saying to Andre when we interviewed him, he said it is a car that largely does what you expect it to do. You just, because it has no traction control, no ABS, it's a 5.7 litre V8, 400 brake horsepower, because it is pure racing. It weighs over £2,600. He said you just need to treat it well. And if you treat it well, it does what you expect it to do. So we can see that the cars are ready to go now on the grid. Again, we will see 5 laps before we see the green flag fall, ready to get this final race of the weekend underway. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing here in Tours, but we've got hopefully 50 laps of green flag racing, or 30 minutes to go to decide who is going to walk away with the final check for the weekend, the €5,000 check. Who is going to claim the final 40 points available? Alan Day would desperately like to take his first full championship win on an oval. He claimed to win in the semi-finals, but when you look at the statistics, that win will disappear. We won't see it. It's only the main championship races that we count towards the statistics. And well, for Alan Day, who has had 13 wins in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series since he first appeared and claimed his first win back in September of 2015. He's already had 3 wins this year, but all of those 13 wins have all come on road courses. He has yet to win a full championship race with all of the points attached to it in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, whether the man who lines up alongside him, Fred Gabillon, has done over half of his winning on the ovals, and that number 3 IDV competition Toyota Camry, let's not forget, has already claimed in the hands of Ulysses Delso a win in both of the Elite 2 finals. In the hands of Fred Gabillon, it claimed a win in the Elite 1 final yesterday. And well, for the first time since we've become part of the NASCAR family, could we see the same one car dominate all weekend? If that happens, that will make a little bit of NASCAR history here on this side of the Atlantic. But there are 50 laps, at least if we remain green, before we can safely say that, and there's going to be plenty of twists and turns along the way, I'm absolutely sure. Again, the cone rule will apply, let's not forget, and it does mean that if we get a safety car restart, I'll read you exactly what the regulations have said. 2x2 formation, cone rule applies. When the lineup is correct, the race director will call 2 laps to go, and then the flagman and the marker will be placed in the centre of the circuit at the start-finish line. Each car will choose inside lane or outside lane before the marker. And when they've done that, the cars move up as far as they can. The field will form 2x2 formation, nose to tail, door handle to door handle. And once the cars have chosen a lane at the marker, they must stay in that lane until the restart and crossing the start-finish line. So you take your gamble. Do you want the inside lane? Do you want the outside lane? The driver, in conjunction with the spotter, will decide. And well, for Fred Gabillon, well, can he manage to do it? He's got not just 50 laps of racing to worry about, he's got the number 54 car to worry about, which is Alan Day, who is going to be desperate, I'm sure, to claim his first full championship victory on an oval. So Fred can drop a result as well. All of the drivers get a joker that they can drop. 1 lap to go, so Fred can actually drop 4th place at the moment. He's had a 4th place at Franciacorta and a 4th place at Brands Hatch, so you drop your worst score in the championship. Let's not forget, most drivers are likely to drop scores at the front end of the championship because the racing from here on in is all double points. So Fred dropping a 4th place is going to put him in a really strong position. Alan Day needs a solid weekend. Alan will have to think about the points. Maybe he will, maybe no, he won't, but he desperately wants to win on an oval. So we will wait and see as to what happens. Bumper to bumper, door handle to door handle. We're about to get the final race underway here. We go green, buckle up, here we go. The final race of the weekend at Tours Speedway. A great start from Fred Gabillon, but he's going to run side by side with Alan Day through turn number 1. He's on the high side. Looks as though everybody's safely through turn 1. They come out of turn number 2, and Fred Gabillon looking to try and pounce here to take the lead of the race, but Alan Day is having none of it. Fred Gabillon still on the high side, can't get to the low side, but now he has been able to do so. He's able to cut across the front end of Stinis Longines, who sits there in 3rd place. Loris Hazemans is there in 4th place. Bobby Labonte is side by side with, that's Guillaume de Flandre, is it not, as they still run side by side. But Alan Day out front, Fred Gabillon in 2nd place. Toyota, from Chevrolet in 3rd position, which is Stinis Longines. 4th place is going to be the leading Ford. That's going to be Loris Hazemans. We'll try and keep an idea as to what's going on elsewhere down through the order. Keep an eye on car number 32, Roman Iniesta, and 37, Tomo Ferrando. They've left themselves a little bit of work to do in this one, or are probably further down the order than one would expect them to be. So up towards the conclusion of another lap through turn number 2. Tomo Ferrando still on the high line. Roman Iniesta side by side with him, but now they go back to being nose to tail as they head down towards 3 and 4. And Alan Day starting to try and see whether he can break away from Fred Gabion. There goes number 2, Kenko Miura. He is, by the look of things, running one of our onboard cameras in this car. You can see it there on the roof, and it gets a little bit squirrely, which is going to allow Roman Iniesta to squeeze his way through before turn number 3. So through goes Roman Iniesta up the inside of the Japanese driver. Tomo Ferrando looking to try and follow through, but that's not quite going to happen as they head round through 1 and 2 once more. See that bounce on the exit of the corner. Alex Sedgwick fighting away with Gianmarco Ercoli. They've dropped down through the order, such are their starting positions, and got sort of hung out to dry on the outside line. So Gianmarco Ercoli is in 8th place, car number 9. Alex Sedgwick is down to 9th. So great racing so far. 6 laps already done and dusted, as our race leader Alan Day and Fred Gabion are going at it for the lead of the race. They've built a little bit of a buffer, haven't they? The front 2 getting away, there you can see. So Alan Day leads, Fred Gabion second, but there's daylight between the leading pair and number 11, Stinis Longines, the Elite 2 champion from a few years ago, who sits there in 3rd place and has got a queue of cars behind him. So through turn 2, down the short straightaway in front of the exhibition building here. We're in the Parc d'Exposition in the west of downtown Tours. And as they now head over the start-finish line, every lap has been green so far of the 8. Now, Fred Gabion is just looking to try and put as much pressure on as possible and try and get Alan Day to make a mistake. There's been no mistake from him as yet at all. Loris Hazemans was getting very close there in 4th place to the all-black this weekend car in the hands of Stinis Longines. Is he going to sneak up the inside this time through 1? No, can't quite do it. Needs to watch his mirrors though. He's got a former NASCAR champion behind him, Bobby Labonte. Through 3 and up towards 4, Stinis Longines, Loris Hazemans, Bobby Labonte, Lucas Lasserre, Guillaume de Flandre, Gianmarco Ercoli, Alex Sedgwick, all still together for what are going to be 3rd all the way through to 9th places, pretty much locked together. As again they head over that bounce, which just unsettles the car, so the drivers having to deal with that. They get no respite at all. As soon as you're out of one corner and you've controlled the car through it, you're down the short straight into the next one, as this time Stinis Longines misses his braking point, which just allows him to run wide. And now surely Loris Hazemans is up the inside. Bobby Labonte is going to try and make sure that that door stays open as well, and Stinis Longines runs side by side with the former NASCAR champion. They're still but side by side out of 4, but now Stinis Longines has had to try and accept the fact he's lost 2 places, but more importantly close the door and make sure that Lucas Lasserre does not squeeze his way through. So there goes Stinis Longines. Very good move by Loris Hazemans to make sure he was able to work his way through. He's got Bobby Labonte right behind him. All of the laps remain green at this stage, so of the scheduled 50 green flag laps, we've already had 14 of them. And here is the battle for the lead. Fred Gabion is not giving up. Toyota 1-2. He is still looking to try and pressurise Alan Day. And with now Bobby Labonte up into 4th position ahead of Stinis Longines, can he sense the fact that there might be a possible first ever NASCAR Whelen Euro Series podium for him? Well, at the moment, what he would need to do is work his way through and past the leading junior driver that we've got out there, which is still Loris Hazemans, just ahead of Bobby Labonte. So down towards 3, on towards 4. Israeli driver, the reigning champion, leads. The double former runner-up, Fred Gabion, in 2nd place. The car moving around again as he tries to accelerate. There's not been any chink in the armour from Alan Day, so there's no opportunity for Fred Gabion to snatch the lead of the race. And well, let's not forget that these drivers will be feeling rather tired after a very warm weekend here. The cars have taken a lot of punishment, as have the tyres as well, and these 2 are now pushing on. They are 4.5 seconds up the road from the 3rd place car of Loris Hazemans, so they've certainly got the pace, these 2. The tyres are hanging on. BF Goodrich, fantastic tyre that we run in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series champion, as Loris Hazemans looking to try and squeeze his way through past Bobby Labonte. There's just a little bit of a rub between the 2 of them, but nothing more than that. Bobby Labonte having none of that, just making sure he got cleanly off the corner. Loris Hazemans did well just to back out of the move, and Bobby Labonte up into 3rd place now, and will Loris Hasemans, you could see just how desperate he was to try and retake the place back. So are we going to see Bobby Labonte on the podium for the first time in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series? And well, certainly at the moment, not only has he taken third place, but he's building up a little bit of an advantage between himself and Loris Hasemans. What's the gap between Bobby Labonte and the pair up the road? 4.3 seconds as they completed the 21st lap, with Bobby Labonte just having set his best individual lap of the race so far. And that lap was about 0.3 of a second quicker than the leading pair were doing. So that is well worth watching out for, to see whether Bobby Labonte can catch the pair ahead. Loris Hasemans, despite losing the place to Bobby Labonte, is still the leading junior driver that we have in the field, the leading challenger driver that we've got for the bronze and silver graded drivers running in this race. Is Dario Carzo, who's in 11th place, as Roman Iniesta sneaks up the inside and takes the place away. That is now up to 9th for Iniesta. Down to 10th goes Gianmarco Ercoli, race winner from Brands Hatch last time through. So Roman Iniesta gaining a position and looking to try and haul his way up through the order. Our race leaders, though, are going to come into the traffic before too much longer, and this could be what Fred Gabion maybe has been waiting for. If there's any hesitation at all from Alan Day, Fred Gabion is going to sense that. And, well, the car that they're coming up against is Mauro Trione, former racer in the Italian GT Championship. Used to race many Ferraris in the Italian GT Championship and has been a regular some years ago in the Italian Super Touring Car Championship in its heyday, but has not been racing for the best part of 20 years. Returns to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, but we are going caution. So we are going to see the caution come out, the first caution of the weekend, and that is because, oh dear, Alexander Graf, by the look of things, has had a problem. He's simply spun the car, I think that is, up at turn 1 and turn 2, but yeah, we're sort of in the middle of the circuit, so little choice but to throw the caution. And well, for Alexander Graf, that is such a shame for Memphis Racing. That car has gone well in the hands of him this weekend. It's gone well in the hands of Guillaume de Flandre as well. Now, was he helped into the spin? Did he do it all of his own accord? There was no obvious damage to the car, so maybe just a slight mistake, or perhaps, yeah, he was just helped into that spin. We won't get a replay of it. I'm sure we will get the stories filtering through at the end of this one. So that does mean that Alexander Graf is now going to drop down through the order. We've also seen the number 11 car of Stinis Longines drop down through the order as well. We didn't see exactly what happened to Stinis Longines, but certainly our timing screen, which you can't see, is showing that that car is now no longer on the lead lap of the race. So there is a little bit of debris that may just need collecting. There might possibly be a little bit of reordering that needs doing. And let's have a look. Lucas Lasserre is also off the lead lap, it is showing, and we've not seen what happened there with either of those cars, but certainly the number 33 car in hands of the double former champion. We heard from him earlier on. He spent some time in the commentary box with us, but that number 33 car is now down in 14th place. Down in 15th is Stinis Longines, and both of those lap cars lie off the lead lap. Alexander Graf is off the lead lap. He is 1 lap down. Lucas Lasserre showing us 2 laps down, and Stinis Longines is now 3 laps off the lead. So, looks as though we might have one more opportunity with 28 laps in total completed. Not all of them under green, so it will no longer be 50 laps. We will get more added. Hopefully we can get a graphic in the bottom left as well that gives you the order. Is there one more opportunity for a change of order? Is there one more opportunity for Cone Guy to remain a star here in Tour this weekend? So, under full course caution. Looks as though the debris from what we can see has now largely been collected. There's still one course vehicle down on the back straightaway just out of turn 2. There's another one here as well just over the start finish line, but I think they are going to, in fact there's 2 of them towards the front straightaway. Now just going to head into the centre of the circuit. There is one more opportunity for Cone Guy. There he is by the look of things. Yeah, let's see what he gets up to this time, Cone Guy. So we need the course vehicles out of harm's way, and then there goes the man on the gantry, still waving the yellow flag at this stage. It's only when we get all of the reordering done, if there's any free passes that are needed, they will get sorted. And then when we are 2 laps away from going green, that's when the cone rule applies. Number 77, who brought about this safety car period, Alexander Graf, is at the front of the queue, so he is going to get the free pass. He might have brought about the safety car, but he's the first of the cars that is not on the lead lap. So he gets the lap back. That will put him actually back onto the lead lap. And I'm trying to keep an eye and see whether other cars that are no longer on the lead lap are still circulating. Yeah, Lucas Lasserre is still circulating by the look of things. He's showing as being 2 laps off the lead. I'm not convinced Stinis Longines is still there. Haven't quite been able to pick up whether the number 11 car is still there. And I'm gazing at the camera shots that we can see of the cars coming in front of the camera screen. And no, I cannot see the number 11 PK Car Sport car of Stinis Longines any longer in the race. His sort of championship aspirations really died when he had a large accident in the second Elite 1 race at Brands Hatch last time out and brought about what was ultimately a red flag, such was the size of the incident that himself and many cars were involved with. That's why the number 11 PK Car Sport car is sporting a different livery for this weekend, because it's been an uphill struggle to get the car prepared for this race meeting. And there is the order at this stage. So number 54, Alan Day, leading the race under caution here in Tours, showing 31 laps completed, but still showing 50 laps to go. So we will end up with more laps getting added. Don't worry, there's not just 19 laps to go. We will end up with all of these safety car laps adding to the total. So the cone is out there. We missed Cone Guy, sadly, but he will have to collect it, so we might see him. Who's going to go one side, who's going to go the other? Well, by the look of things, Roman Iniesta opts for it, Gianmarco Ercoli opts for it. Tomo Ferrando said he was going to go outside every time when he was in the commentary box. He's gone to the outside. Lucas Lasserre, understandably, goes to the outside, and Alexander Graf as well. Let's have a look at Cone Guy. What's going to happen this time? Nothing. I think he's run out of enthusiasm this weekend, Cone Guy. He's been a busy chap, busier than he thought he'd be at the beginning of the season, and as we said, or beginning of the weekend, and as we said, it's probably more risky to be Cone Guy than it is to take the outside line, but some have opted for it. Roman Iniesta was 6th. He's going to take this restart in 2nd position by the look of things, so he's gambled as I thought he might do. Tomo Ferrando we knew would gamble, and well, number 77 did not get the free pass. He'd come to the front of the queue, but did not get the free pass. They just brought him back to the back of the field, so it's more just a case of repositioning the car rather than anything else. So they head out of turn 2, down the back straightaway, up towards turn 3 and turn 4, and we're about to go green flag racing. 60 laps now is what is scheduled, because we've had 10 under caution, so it's now potentially going to be 60 laps if we remain green for the rest of this race, which we get back underway once more. Roman Iniesta this time on the outside line took the opportunity to gamble under the cone rules, but he is running side by side with Fred Gabion out of turn 2 and down towards 3. It all gets rather tight heading down in towards 3. We're 3 wide in the middle of 3 by the look of things. Are they all going to come out in the right order? Well, there's a little bit of bumping and boring, but they all sort of bounced off each other rather than anything else. But 3 wide did work, not for long. We carried on and they all got away with it. And the gamble for Roman Iniesta really has worked, because his Go Fast Racing number 32 Ford Mustang has gone from the outside lane back to the low side and has tucked himself through into 3rd position. So that has certainly worked for him, at least on that occasion. Bobby Labonte still is the car that lies ahead in 3rd place, on for a potential podium place here. Of course, the leading 2 before we went safety car had a very large advantage. It also means now it is a Toyota clean sweep on the podium if they stay where they are. Toyota, from Toyota, from Toyota, from Ford, from Ford, from Ford. So the leading Chevrolet at this stage is going to be just that little bit further down through the order, and outside of the top 6, outside of the top 7 and the top 8 and the top 9 by the look of things, and the top 10, is it possibly? Let's have a quick look. No, it's going to be in 9th place, is it not? It is going to be Alexander Graf that is going to be the leading Chevy at this stage. So the Chevys not quite performing as well as the Fords or the Toyotas, but the Toyotas performing the best of everybody. 1st, 2nd and 3rd place, and now we're just starting to see maybe the top 3 break away a little bit more from Romain Iniesta, who remains there in 3rd place. 40 laps of what is now a scheduled 60 to go. Alan Day has led every one of them so far. Fred Gabion, is he playing a waiting game? Is he just going to think about the fact that where he is in the championship could be very important come the next races that come up at Hockenheim? And if he were to gain the place and take the win, it would only be 5 more championship points, and there's a lot of risk associated with that. Or maybe Bobby Labonte has the pace. Now, let's not forget, Bobby Labonte did not do many racing laps yesterday on his tyres. He had a clutch issue with the car. It was slipping, having spoken to Bobby yesterday. At the beginning of the race, the clutch was slipping in that car. He came into the pits very early on from what was a handy position in the race. I think he was running third at the time. And as a result, those tyres have not done the same amount of work as Alan Day's or Fred Gabion's. But it is still pretty evenly matched for the leading three. You could almost argue the leading five, really, because just that little bit further back is the black and yellow car of Roman Iniesta, and then Loris Hazemans is starting to catch up as well. So it's almost a quintet for the lead of the race. 5 cars for the lead, and then we get to get back to Alex Sedgwick, who's there in 6th position. In fact, there is Alex Sedgwick, rolling his sleeves up and slugging it out there with a car that is still off the lead lap, which is the double former champion Lucas Lasserre. So that is not for position, because Luca is, well, 2 laps off the lead currently. To say that Alan Day leads the race overall. Loris Hazemans in 5th place is the leading junior category driver for the junior trophy, and the challenger trophy is still being headed by the number 8 car in the hands of Dario Carzo. Alex Sedgwick bottling up, though, the double former champion Lucas Lasserre behind. Fighting tooth and nail on circuit, but to say there are a couple of laps difference between Alex Sedgwick and the car that's off the lead lap, the number 33 Mavi supported Mishi Motors car. We go back to the battle for the lead of the race. Well, it was 5, it's now 4, isn't it? Loris Hazemans has just been dropped off this lead pack very slightly. All of the cars taking a very similar line through turn 1 and turn 2. If anything, Roman Iniesta maybe just slightly higher up going in towards the turn. We saw so many different looks to see where Bobby Labonte might have the advantage. 12 laps to go if we remain green. And, well, is there another twist in the tail? We have seen so much good and clean racing this weekend. There's been a few incidents along the way, sadly losing some cars as well, such as the fact that, well, there's not a lot of give in these walls here. And here we go as Fred Gabion had a very good look for the lead of the race there. For the first time showed his hand, but didn't overdo it. So whilst he tried and it didn't work, he was still able to ensure that he didn't leave the door open to Bobby Labonte. But Fred has certainly now had one opportunity to see whether he might close the door and whether he might be able to sort of unlock the door, rather, to the lead of the race. Out of 2. Down towards 3. Now that the squabbling has started a little bit more, keep your eye towards Loris Hazemans, who, at the wheel of the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport machine, is looking to try and close up again once more. Toyota 1, 2, 3. Ford's there in 4th and in 5th position. And in 6th with Alex Sedgwick as well, because that's another Ford. As now Fred Gabion looks as though he's coming under pressure from Bobby Labonte, and he just gets down to the low side to cover it off from Bobby, who looked very, very racy there. Bobby tries to get the car throttled up as soon as he can. Is he going to do it at 1? Yeah, the door is almost open, and Fred Gabion is pushed offline. Bobby Labonte has got the overlap here. Now, can he do it down in towards 3? Surely he can. Bobby Labonte goes 3. Nothing that Fred Gabion can do, but now he's closed the door to prevent Roman Iniesta squeezing his way through. What a drive from Bobby Labonte. That is pure racing. 6 laps to go now for Bobby Labonte. Can he win his first NASCAR race on this side of the Atlantic? Well, that would be a fantastic end to the weekend, and, well, himself and his wife could go and celebrate in Paris, where they're heading to after this race for the next couple of days, in fine style, because he'll be walking away, if he can win it, €5,000 richer than he arrived here. And now he closes up onto the coattails of Alan Day. Both of these drivers desperate to win their first oval race in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. For Alan Day, he has already got 13 NASCAR wins in the Euro Series under his belt, but Bobby Labonte looking to try and do what he did on Fred Gabion. He was very clean and good coming off 2, but can't unlock the door to the lead of the race. There's traffic just up the road, but we are going full course caution, and that's because Tomo Ferrando, by the look of things, has had a spin, and that's at turn 1 where Tomo Ferrando had a spin, and, well, that is going to mean that he has dropped off the lead lap as a result of that spin, because he has just been passed by the leading pair. And, well, we'd actually only got 3 laps to go, so we are going towards what is highly likely to be a green and white checkered, with the final opportunity for the cone rule and the final opportunity for Cone Guy to be a star here in Tour. Now, will Bobby Labonte look to try and just hang on to the coattails of Alan Day and see whether he can squeeze his way through, or is he going to have one enormous roll of the dice and try for the outside line. Big question with that one. And on a green-white checkered, I just don't know. I really, genuinely just don't know what I would do. If you're at the tail end of the field, yes, of course I would. Lucas Lasserre and Thomas Ferrando. Luca isn't on a lead lap, but any of the drivers further back, Wilfred Busana, Alexander Graf, I think a few of those will try it. But the difficulty is, the more that try it, the more it is going to become ever more congested on that high line. So if you're the fans at home, you decide who do you think is going to go one side of the cone, who is going to go for the high line through turn 1 and 2, and hope that they can get back to the low side, and who is going to just opt for the safer option, which will be to go left of the cone, right as we see it on our screens. And we'll then see. Well, Fred Gabion, yeah, in third place. Fred Gabion could maybe have a roll of the dice. So some of the drivers will probably be in conversation with their spotters already and saying, look, I want to go high side. If the car ahead of me goes high, do I go low? And try and have a solution so that you don't react last minute. You know that if the car ahead of you or the two cars ahead of you do one thing, what you're going to do to maybe counter that and see. So let's have a look. One thing we're absolutely sure about is Alan Day, the race leader, we know what side he's going. There is no question as to what side Alan Day is going. He will go to the low side. He will go left of the cone as and when it's out there. One car that's being pushed back round, is that Dario Carzo's car? It is, yeah. He's showing us 3 laps down now, Dario Carzo. So maybe that was what caused Thomas Ferrando to spin, who has been into the pit lane and has come back out again. So Thomas Ferrando is now a couple of laps off the lead, and Dario Carzo's car, yeah, is being pushed back round, is it not? So we are absolutely, without question, in for a thrilling finish to what has been a wonderful weekend of racing here at Tour. This 650-metre circuit with its 9-degree banking has provided plenty of action. It's provided plenty of work for the teams as well. I've got to say, there's been a whole chunk of work for the teams who've done beautifully well in very warm conditions to try and prepare the cars for the next race. There has been a few fall to the wayside, the likes of Jerry Zavert and Justin Kuntz and Francisco Cini and Mark Goosens, all of whom we would have expected to see in this final race, but such has been the rate of attrition, amongst other things, that, yeah, unfortunately we are, 4 cars adrift of as a bare minimum of what we were expected to see here. But that's not to say that this final hasn't been anything other than enthralling. We've still got to decide as to what name is going to go on that €5,000 check at the end of this race. Hopefully we'll be able to grab some reaction with Andre down there in victory lane. And don't forget that even after this, we will, on social media over the course of the next hour or so, be posting some brief, 60, 90-second interviews with certainly our winners, and I'm sure Bobby Labonte will be in there, Loris Hazelmans, and the Challenger Trophy. Right, watch out for Cone Guy. The cone is ready. There go the race leaders past it now, Alan Day and Bobby Labonte. First of the cars behind the safety car. Now make your decision. Who is going to go high? Who is going to go low? If you're watching at home, decide. I think Loris Hazelmans is going to go high. I think Roman Iniesta is going to go high, which are the number 50 car and the number 32 car respectively. 4th place for Roman Iniesta, 5th place for number 50. Cone Guy's not moving as yet, so he has, I think, not been instructed as yet. So maybe a little bit more reordering being done towards the tail end of the field, and once we get the reordering being done, we will be ready for what is going to be a real grandstand finish to the last race here at the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Let's hope that Tour is on the calendar for 2019. There goes Cone Guy, and this will be the final time we see him this weekend. Any more surprises from him? I like Cone Guy. He makes me giggle. He's made most of us giggle. They're waving to the crowd now as well. Waving to the crowd is Cone Guy. He's made a name for himself this weekend. 1 to go is what is being shown by the starter. 1 to go. We never did get the robot from Cone Guy, which I was hoping we got. We got the down. Fred Gabion's gone high. I thought he would. Alex Sedgwick's gone high. Gianmarco Ercoli goes high up towards turn 1. And Lucas Lasserre is going high, but Kenko Mura goes high before him. So we've got a few. Any last minute things from Cone Guy? No, he's in a hurry. We need the race to finish. So Here we go, buckle up. This is going to be a hugely exciting finish for this final lap or so of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Fred Gabion is going to throw everything at this. Bumper to bumper was the instruction. 1 to go is the signal on the gantry. And, well, Fred Gabion has rolled the dice for the very last time this weekend. The current championship leader, the man who claimed victory yesterday in his semi-final and in the final yesterday, is looking to try and see whether he can do anything about preventing Alan Day from securing his first full proper race win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series on an oval circuit. 40 points available, 5,000 euros up for grabs. A race in Canada to the points leader, leaving the Elite One Championship here in Tour. And here we go green here, and it looks as though Alan Day has had a good start. Fred Gabion is hung out to dry a little bit through turn 1, so Bobby Labonte squeezes his way through. Roman Iniesta, who I thought would go high and went for the low line, now looking to try and get ahead of Fred Gabion. He's down on the low line side by side, and as they go through and over the start-finish line, it's not a green-white checkered. We've still got a little bit more racing to go. Alan Day leads. Bobby Labonte in second position. Roman Iniesta in third. Alex Sedgwick is up into fourth place. Loris Hasemans is there in fifth place, and it's not worked, has it, for Fred Gabion? He is still on the high side. Can't get back down to the low side. White flag goes. 1 to go. Has Bobby Labonte got anything left that he could throw at Alan Day to try and prevent the Israeli scoring his first victory in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series? Bobby very low, coming off 1 and 2. A little bit of bumping and boring between the pair of them. They head down in towards 3 and 4. Again, they're bumper to bumper, but Alan Day is not going to let the door open. Alan Day claims the win. Bobby Labonte sideways over the line to finish in second position. Roman Iniesta gambled and went to the high side. He comes through and finishes in third place, with Loris Hasemans in fourth place, the first of the junior trophy drivers home in fourth place. Alex Sedgwick, the second of the junior drivers, in fifth. And, well, Fred Gabion, he rolled the dice, did Fred Gabion, and he finishes in sixth position. That is Alan Day's 14th overall win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It is his first on an oval, and I am sure we are going to be talking to a very, very happy reigning Elite One champion down there in the victory lane. And, well, for Bobby Labonte, well, wow. I think had there been another lap or so, he would have tried something, but great respect between the pair of them. Instantly, Alan Day and Bobby Labonte were sort of signalling and acknowledging each other as soon as they'd received the checkered flag. And what a great way to end our on-circuit action here at the Tour Speedway for round 8 of the 2018 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Confirmation of the results. Number 54, Alan Day for Cal Racing, brings his Toyota Camry home to grab the win. Second place is another Toyota for RTV competition. It is number 18, Bobby Labonte, with his first overall podium in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Third place for number 32 and the Go Fast Racing Ford Mustang of Roman Iniesta. The cone rule, he'll be pleased with that. It worked for him. Rolled the dice and came home to grab the final podium spot. And fourth place, the leading junior trophy driver home, is the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford of Loris Hasemans. Fifth place is number 90 for Brax Racing, which is Alex Sedgwick. And sixth place in the end for Fred Gabion, who had a go at it, but he tried the high line, couldn't get back to the low side, and it just didn't work. Dropped from second down to sixth at the wheel of the number 3 car. Either way, it's been a great weekend for him and the team. In seventh place, it is number 77, Alexander Graf with the Memphis Racing Chevy. Eighth place goes the way of the first of the Knauf cars home, which is number 73, the Ford of Willy Busenna. And ninth place is car number 9, which is Gianmarco Ercoli. In 10th place, number 31, Mauro Trioni, is going to be the winner of the Challenger Trophy. Such were the problems for Dario Carzo. That's his first win in the Challenger Trophy, top step of the podium. He'll be very, very happy indeed. And 11th place goes the way of number 2, the Japanese driver for Alex Caffey Motorsport with his Toyota Kenko Miura. Off the lead lap, 1 lap down, is the double former champion, number 33, Lucas Lasser. In 13th place and 2 laps adrift is number 37, Tomo Ferrando, the reigning Elite 2 champion. And then finishing 12 laps adrift, his car was recovered to pit lane, is number 8, Dario Carzo, and also another car that we lost midway through. We know not for what reason, but number 11, the PK Car Sport car of Stinis Longin, was another car that we lost early on in the race. Sadly, we didn't get to see Jerry Devert, Justin Kuntz, or Francisco Cini, all of whom were not able to make the start. But what a weekend of racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. We have had a blast here in France. The crowd have enjoyed it. There's still plenty of other on-circuit action for them to enjoy as well. So a few of them are, I think, leaving the grandstands to enjoy a bit of shade more than anything, because it has been so beautifully warm here. If anything today, bearable. Other days, perhaps not. But hopefully, we can grab a quick word with Bobby Labonte, who is going to talk to Andre down in Victory Lane.
Bobby Labonte, it's your first. Bobby Labonte, it's your first ever NASCAR Whelen Euro Series podium here at Tours Speedway, your home soil, oval races. Tell us about the race.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was such a hard race because the grip level degradation, the tires really gave up. The cars changed a lot, and the bottom was just always the groove. And the scoring tower told us it was 4 laps to go when really it was 2. So I don't know why, but you know, Alain did a great job holding his line, and I could get to his bumper, but you know, you don't crash people on trying to win races like he is not doing anything wrong. So I just tried to get him and, you know, see if I could have a chance, and maybe if there was 2 more laps, maybe. But anyway, he did a great job. My team did a great job. I did not run at all yesterday, so today was the first real day. So it was good.
So how does it feel like to be on the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series podium for the first time?
First would have been better.
Thank you very much. Go back to McMurray.
Yeah, would you have expected Bobby Labonte to have said anything other? You know, he is a real competitor and a fair competitor. You know, great comments from him with regards to Alain Day celebrating in fine style on the top of his Cal Racing Toyota. He will be hugely pleased. Not only will he gain maximum championship points in that race, 40 to add to his tally, which really brings him back into the championship hunt, such has been the poorer finish for Lucas Lasser in that race, and also Anthony Kumpen, who was out really before the weekend got underway. But it is his first oval win, and he's also going to be heading back to his home country of Israel, 5,000 euros richer. And, well, you can see just how energy-sapping that race has been for Alain. Seeking shade, trying to just, you can see he's physically absolutely shattered. And Alain is a very physically fit driver. And when you see a driver such as Alain Day slumping to his knees and sitting down immediately, you know it's been a tough race. I think we're going to be able to hear from our race winner, the first oval win for Alain Day.
Alain. Alain, win here at Tours Speedway on an oval track. You said you were not the fastest here, but today you got it. What do you say?
I wasn't the fastest also today, but with the team, great teamwork. That's all I can say. We knew that if I will get a quicker time than Gabion on the semi-final, we will be on pole, and that's what happened. And since then, I just defend like hell from those 2 RDV competition team. But car racing team did amazing job with a 54 car, and yeah, what can I say? I beat NASCAR Cup champion. You know, that's something incredible. He was there for the last few laps, and he started bumping me, and I was like, maybe I'm not gonna do it, but I fight until my last breath, and I'm so happy. I'm exhausted. It's so hot. People probably cannot understand how hot it is in the car. And
all right, thank you very much. Congratulations. We're going back to Mark. You're Elite 1 winner, Alain Day.
Yeah, great to see Alain Day taking a very well-deserved drink of water and receiving the congratulations of the Cal Racing team. And, well, yeah, when you hear Alain Day saying it was hot, it was tough. We heard yesterday 60 to 70 degrees inside the car, and even chatting to the likes of Alain Day and Bobby Labonte, as Alain also receives the congratulations of Alex Sedgwick, who was 5th home and the 2nd of the junior trophy drivers. You know that it's been a tough old weekend, but the team are going to enjoy it as they pose for the photographs, and Alain, of course, will get ready for the Victory Lane celebrations that will follow very shortly. There is, down at the bottom of the screen, Ariana Casoli wearing the white t-shirt. Of course, she shares the car with Alain Day. Alain races in Elite 1. Ariana races in Elite 2, and Ariana is also a Ladies' Cup champion in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Ariana securing that championship back in 2016, so plenty of enjoyment still to come here at Tour Speedway. And let's have a look. We might be able to gauge some more reaction. There is the gentleman with the hat that's just talking to Alan Day now. That is the Director of International Competitions for NASCAR, Joe Balash, who is based at Charlotte. And I think we've seen Joe at every round so far this year. We've seen Bob Duval come over, who is the Senior Director for Business Development. We've seen Chad Seidler, who is the Vice President of International Business Development Partnerships. So we really do see so many of our, well, NASCAR family in reality, flying and making the commitment to come over to this side of the Atlantic. And I'm not sure whether you can hear, but good job is what Joe Balash is saying to Alan Day. So that concludes things really here at Tour Speedway. We have had a very, very busy weekend at the World Oval Challenge. It's great to be back for our 6th visit here in France, having been absent from the calendar in 2017. It looks as though Tour has made an impact in 2018. Don't forget that we've still got more racing to come. Not here this weekend, but round 9 and round 10 of the championship will take place at the Hockenheim Ring on the national circuit in Hockenheim in Germany over the weekend of the 15th and 16th of September. And our final races, round 11 and round 12, the American Festival NASCAR Finals at Zolder in Belgium on the 20th and 21st of October. Of course, as they're the finals, double points available as well. So there's plenty still to fight for out on circuit. But that's all from Tour for the moment. Thanks for joining us. Join us on the 15th of September at Hockenheim. Goodbye.